Ooh, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Absolute Ultimate Escapist Comics Podcast. I think this is like episode 20 or something. It is Wednesday, April 22nd in the year of our Lord, 2026.
Smoke weed. I think you're a few days late, dear.
On 4/22.
I'm just still high. From the last podcast.
We don't have a ton of comics news for you today, but I thought I would talk about the Hugo Award nominee announcements for Best Graphic Story or Comic. One of those nominees features a podcast favorite, Absolute Wonder Woman Volume 1, The Last Amazon, by Kelly Thompson, art by Hayden Sherman and Mattia De Julius, coloring by Jordi Belair, lettering by Becca Carey. The rest of the list I kind of don't know much about. We've got A Girl and Her Fed, which is I think like a webcomic of some kind. Something that I don't think should be allowed to be nominated, which is Wizard of Earthsea, a graphic novel. I feel like an adaptation of something that's already written shouldn't.
No, that's kind of cheating.
A Hugo Award nominee, especially because Le Guin already has Hugo Awards. It just feels weird. Invisible Parade. I don't really know anything about Invisible Parade, but it's like a kids or middle reader book. Power Fantasy, which I've seen a lot of people buying, but I haven't read myself. Have you read Power Fantasy?
I read the first little bit of Power Fantasy. It's good. I'm gonna say these lists always baffle me because I'm like, who fucking read for this? It feels like people who didn't read comics sometimes, but then also the picks are so esoteric. You're like, where did you get this?
Yeah, and I do feel like the fact that Absolute Wonder Woman is on here suggests that Absolute Martian Manhunter should probably be on here, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess it's technically 2025, but Assorted Crisis Events probably should have been on here.
Assorted Crisis Events came out last year. They had a reprint, or Vatu, I think, came out last year. For
2026 though.
Oh wait, is this for 2026? Oh wait, no, wait.
Well, I guess that definitely includes stuff from last year though, because it's only the 4th month of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff that is really excellently written science fiction and fantasy that I feel should be on here that I'm not seeing. But then again, I also haven't read any of the other things, but I feel for sure a Wizard of Earthsea, a graphic novel, should not be on here.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about A Girl and Her Fed on this ancient website.
I'm really baffled. What is that, a ghost koala?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm looking at.
It's been an ongoing webcomic since April of 2007.
Yeah, that seems crazy to me. Anyway, basically I just wanted to say that Absolute Wonder Woman Volume 1 is on this list, and I think that it should win.
Yeah, what a great book. We're going to be raving about it this week.
Yeah, all the other ones shouldn't win, because Absolute Wonder Woman should win.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say about
I love her.
that.
She's a big lesbian.
Speaking of big lesbians, do we want to dive right into Absolute Wonder Woman?
Yeah, you guys should jump in.
Okay. So, first of all, Hayden Sherman said if DC's not going to let Kelly Thompson make them explicitly gay, even though Kelly Thompson is so unbelievably clearly making them gay, Hayden Sherman's like, I'm going to draw them so unmistakably gay. It's just unavoidable. It's it is just textually gay at this point. Even if they don't scissor, I've been threatening to storm the DC offices over if they don't do, for the last few episodes. Even if they don't do that, this is just textually gay.
Do lesbians actually scissor?
Yes. Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to the Handmaiden discourse when people were so mad about Park Chan-wook because they're scissoring in that movie, and it's you guys just anyway. We can't go too far down this route.
Yeah, no Park Chan-wook discussion today.
Chen Wook.
You get lost in the sauce too quick.
That was an ironic question coming from me. Anyways.
Yeah, anyway, we're not gonna go too far down that. But Hayden Sherman said, like, if those bitches aren't gay textually, which they are, I'm going to draw them gay as fuck. There is stuff in here that is just there is simply no heterosexual explanation for that.
Yeah, you were posting stories about it. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, it's like I don't want to be posting full pages of this, but like, the thing I did post was like the 4th gayest panel in there, and it was not even like top 3 gayest panels in there. Hayden Sherman's just drawing them gay. Even the way Hayden Sherman is drawing, like, Steve Trevor is closer to Hirohiko Araki than it is to, like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure than it is to, like, military man Steve Trevor. This is just a textually gay book, so even if Hayden Sherman doesn't, or sorry, even if DC, for whatever reason, you know, don't say gay about this, it's a gay book, and we can all take solace in that. Yeah, that said, I do think Kelly Thompson is, like, doing a quote-unquote reverse queer baiting. I'm trying to find a better term than that. Where she's, like, playing up, like, DC's never gonna do it, you guys. DC, I don't know, maybe DC won't do it, and then they're gonna do it, like, 2 issues. And it's gonna drive, like, it's like a reverse controversy, where it's, like, actually the good thing happened and not the bad outcome. I don't know. But,
I feel like even if they don't make it explicitly gay, like, it'll still be a queer comic in my mind, and to, like, most people, I think. Like, I feel like at this point, they've done so much to, like, make it queer. Like, it's just, it is, like, a queer book, even if it's not queer explicitly, which to me almost makes it, like, more queer, because it's, like a secret queer book.
yeah.
That being said, I hope that Zatanna and
It's closeted.
Wonder Woman smooch.
They get real close in this issue. I'm
lesbian style.
They do nearly kiss lesbian style at least twice, which is crazy numbers. But yeah, no, this is an excellent issue. And I'll also say this introduces a concept here that I think is going to have, like, really massive reverberations for her character in a way that's like a relative, seemingly small thing that ends up, like, kind of blowing everything up. Specifically the idea of, like, Aphrodite's gift, which is Aphrodite kind of tells Circe at one point and is like, hey, I have to, like, stop hanging out with Diana because I accidentally...
Are you spoiling the book again?
Should I not say anything?
I feel like you shouldn't spoil the book.
Okay.
What did you like about it?
I can't talk about what I liked about that without spoiling it, so I'm gonna not.
Okay, you can spoil it. You can do it.
You've had a spoiler warning, audience.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's what I need to do, is I just need to say spoiler warning before.
Yeah, then they can skip ahead a couple minutes or something.
Okay. So, spoiler warning. Aphrodite says, Circe, I can't hang out with Diana anymore. Circe says, why? And Aphrodite says, so Diana's just, like, naturally really lovable, right? Like, people really like her. People are really drawn to her. I also accidentally gave her some of my magic, which is to say that, like, people are even more drawn to her than they already would be. And where the distinguishing line is between, like, her natural charm and, like, community building and the pull of this power is really blurry. And I have to leave, or else, like, I'm going to keep infecting her with this gift. But what this implies is that, like, Diana doesn't know about this. She was not privy to this conversation. And so she's gonna find this out at some point. It's really going to fuck her shit up. Because, like, throughout the rest of this story, she's, like, been so natural at bringing people in and so natural at community building. If anything, this book is about community building in a lot of ways. And so what does it mean to find out that, like, oh, to some degree or another, this is, like, against people's wills and not, and against Diana's will too, because she doesn't know.
Yeah.
And, like, that's really sharp character writing. Like, that's really, really smart fucking writing.
Did you read this, Pearl?
No.
No, I didn't read it either.
Looks cool, though.
Yeah, I'm really excited to, like, read the whole thing in trades when it's done. It just like reached a point where I was too far behind to try to catch up in issues, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I'll just wait." But I do like flip through issues whenever they come out, and it does seem like the quality has not dropped off, at least in terms of the art. And I did cop a couple of the Zatanna covers when they came out.
Oh, the Zatanna covers are everything.
Yeah, they're...
I thought we weren't even going to get them. I thought it was exclusive to some store.
Because it was initially listed, the Mark Brooks one was listed as an exclusive, and then when it came in, that was my fucking Christmas, I'll tell you that.
I think we should keep going and talking about new comics, but first, Dr. Pearl, hit us with a song.
So many people just walked in. I've listened. We are the Escapist, and we love to read comic books. We are the Escapist, and we have a podcast too. And we are the Escapist, and we love you.
Okay, getting right back into it.
Wow, I thought I was gonna get away with it that time.
Yeah, you're never gonna get away with it. I'm locked in.
We'll always remember Diva.
I want to talk about the only book that I think I read that no one else read, which is this random book that I just like pulled off the shelf just because I was kind of like looking around and this caught my eye. It's called Brownfield Action Family by Ted May. Issue 1 just came out this week. I flipped through it. I was very intrigued. It's not printed on like legit newsprint, but like on non-glossy white paper, or like semi-gloss white paper. It's all in black and white. I had heard nothing about this book. Don't know who Ted May is. Still don't know who Ted May is because I did no research. I was very charmed by this wee issue of the funny books, if you will.
What exactly is it? Because I noticed it on the shelf, but I had no way to contextualize it.
What I think it is so far, it's got like a bit of a kind of noir mystery kind of thing going on. But it's also very much like a love letter to a whole bunch of different classic comics. So it's got some like Charles Burns sort of vibes in here, and it's got a lot of like kind of Silver Agey stuff going on too, and like the layouts, and like there's these little panels with like his head floating in the gutters and stuff. That feel like very kind of like Silver Agey Spider-Man or something to me. But then it's also drawn in this like very cutesy style that makes me think of like a Seth comic or something like that, or what were you gonna say?
I was just saying, I'm seeing the Burns
in that
like, panel right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Burns in it, and like this doesn't have like the darkness of Black Hole or something, but like there's a visual kind of aesthetic that feels really Burnsy to me, or like this guy feels like really Dan Clowes to me.
Oh,
like
God,
this guy feels like
Dan
such
Clowes.
a like Ghost World character right here.
Yeah.
And then similarly, there's like a lot of kind of like Street Fighter-y, like kung fu sort of art feel to it, and then there's like the occasional like Family Circus circular panel.
Oh wow, that
which
is
is
just
like really
straight up
strange and interesting, but
Yeah.
like he's like hungover and like passed out on the couch, but it's in like a little Family Circus bubble. So it's like it feels really hard to parse so far, but like not in like a bad, confusing way, in like a really charming way.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like it's about this guy who it's about this like young guy who's like depressed and unemployed and like drinking a bunch, and he likes to like climb all over buildings, which has like a real superheroic vibe to it, but he like doesn't have superpowers so far as I can tell. But he like used to be really good at martial arts as a kid, and then he was like trained really well by his like karate master dad or whatever, and then his dad like up and left them, and his family kind of fell apart, and he abandoned karate. And then this mysterious figure shows up and is like, hey, like, so you're like a failure and stuff, and like your girlfriend don't love you no more because you're hungover all the time and you don't have a job. But your dad left you this building in this like rundown neighborhood, and a developer wants to buy it because he wants to buy out the whole area and like develop it into something. And this guy's very sinister. He's got this like Daniel Clowes thing going on. And it opens up this kind of like strange mystery about his dad that we don't really like find out a ton about yet. Like we don't know a ton about it, and all we know is that he kind of abandoned their family, but he has like, there's little mentions of like all of these kind of capers that his dad was involved in, all of which like end up a mess. So it's kind of like a setup for this mystery. It's like a lot of like character work, and it does like hook you pretty well, and the characters feel cartoony but real. And there's like, it almost has like the sort of sweet melancholia of like a Tillie Walden book in here too. Like there's so much going on here. It also feels like a kind of campier, pulpier thing that like a Bizarro-verse Silver Sprocket might put out or something. It's being put out by Revival House Press, which I like don't know anything about.
Never heard of them, no.
It might be a vanity press, like it might just be Ted May's press. But it was like, it wasn't on our small press shelf, it was on our like normal issues shelf. But like, I am so intrigued by this random comic that I just picked up out of curiosity, and it's a second printing.
Oh, that's fucking weird. Okay.
So like, it sold out of its first printing, but it's like really, really competently made too. Like it's made by someone who really understands how to make a good fucking comic. Like it's lettered really well, the layouts are really good. Yeah, like it seems like Ted May has been around for a while, and I just like don't know anything about him. And he's like, dude, like I don't even know. Like I'm just like, I feel like I fucking stumbled on like something really cool without expecting it at all. Please buy this. Like I need people to come in and buy this so that they can then talk to me about it. Yeah, like, what the fuck is this? This is so good. I don't get it. It has, like, it's got, like, a pulpy thing going on, too, that, like, Ezra Kane has, where it's, like, mystery, ooh. Yeah, dude, God dang it. I wish someone else had read this.
I mean,
It's so not on my radar, even barely. And not many things are, so.
No, I know, like,
there was no chance.
Like, I was just, like, walking... Like, I was just, like, walking by trying to find the Aditya Bidikar in Your Skin book because I had forgotten what the title was, so I, like, didn't know where on the shelf it was, but I was like, I'll just look for the cover. And then I stumbled on this thing. Yeah, I don't even... There's, like, so many other influences in this book that I'm, like, that are, like, just on the tip of my tongue, and I, like... can't like name them. It's really weird.
It's almost rapid fire, like in the same way that like some artists like Mike not Huddleston, maybe just Huddleston. There's some artists who can like change their style like every panel or every page.
Yeah.
What's happening here is like subtler than that, but every page or every panel I'd flip through, you were flipping through, and I'd see something and I'd be like, oh, that kind of reminds me of like Michael Avon Oeming a little bit. That reminds me of like
Shannon
bit of, like,
Wheeler, Brian O'Malley, Scott Pilgrim in here too.
That's such a Brian Lee O'Malley face.
Yeah, and like this stuff in the back too feels very like it feels like very much like something like you'd see on a Silver Sprocket book, and there's like stuff in here that feels like
almost a Passmore.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Ben Passmore. You could totally see him like having an influence on this book. There's like so much in here, and it really feels like Ted May, mystery man that he is like, you can feel how much he loves comics. Like you can feel how much of a nerd he is, but it doesn't feel stupid, because sometimes you read like independent books written by like huge comics nerds and you're just like, wow, like, you just really wish you had made Spawn, or whatever, or, like, you really wish you had made, like, freaking whatever Rob Liefeld made or something, you know? And it's like, that's, like, I'm glad that you made your, like, fanzine that you're pretending isn't a fan comic, but, like, this feels like very much its own thing, but made by someone who, like, adores comics.
Mm-hmm.
I will be getting the second issue and reading it, because this is, like, stupid good. Yeah, worth reading. What a curiosity.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even, like, know what else to say, but yeah, I was
I'm gonna have to check it out.
pleasantly surprised here.
I'm glad you read it.
What's the title again?
It's called Brownfield Action Family
Yeah.
by Ted May.
I'm gonna have to check that out again, because I remember when this came in and I was like, am I gonna get this, am I not? Like, I was curious about it. There's just too many things, and so I just kind of bumped it down the list, but probably I feel like I should read it now.
Yeah, you should read it. It's a quick read too.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's the other book that I read that only I read.
Do we could talk about...
We're kind of discombobulated today. Oh, do you want to talk about Spider-Man and Superman?
Yeah, I can... Okay. I can talk about this, because I did notes on all of them. So first, the main story. Main story's bad. Brad Meltzer. It's Brad Meltzer and Pepe Larraz. So, Brad Meltzer... A note here. If you have an artist as strong as Pepe Larraz, why the fuck did you set the first half of it in a dark cave? That's insane. Like, what is the fucking matter with you? You get, like, a top shelf, like, Marvel artist and two of the, like some, like, really fun, vibrant, like, characters that just, like, have really interesting ways of, like, moving. Really interesting cast of characters.
Breaking news, guys.
And then
Persephone's angry at Marvel again. Ooh.
I mean... It's no, you're right. No, you're right though. And I'm like, Marvel, step your pussy up, Marvel.
Step your pussy up, Marvel.
Wash it in the sink. But no, main story's bad.
I mean, you gotta at least wash it in the sink.
Like, Pepe Larraz's heart's not even in it because he recognizes that Meltzer's script is garbage. The character work's not good. But immediately after that, Dan Slott and Marcos Martin come in. Perfect 4-pager. The Spider-Man Noir Superman thing that Dan Slott and Marcos Martin do, actually maybe like a perfect 4-page mini-comic. Like, maybe is like the epitome of like what you can do with just like 4 simple pages. Like, it's not anything super complex, but it's just like very well drawn and very well like it's gorgeous. It's a genuinely gorgeous comic. It merges the worlds well by like taking like the kind of like late 30s like early genesis of Superman and combining that with Spider-Man Noir. Like, it's smart work. It's gorgeous work, and it just makes the first story all the more embarrassing for how much the first story fumbles when the story immediately after that is like chef's kiss exceptional. Like, Dan Slott and Marcos Martin, congrats on just, like, knocking it out of the fucking park. It's great.
Yeah, the Marcos Martin looks awesome. Wow.
And it's so well written, too. Like, but, like, Dan Slott and Marcos Martin just, like, perfect. Like, they get, like, 4 pages, and they just knock it out of the park.
Yeah,
it's exceptional.
They need to just, like, give Spider-Man... If they're not going to give Spider-Man to a new, really good artist, they need to give it back to Dan Slott.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the best thing that they could do is give ASM to a new, really skilled, talented writer and artist. But if they're not going to do that, they should at least take the, like, quality coward's way out and be like, we're giving Dan Slott ASM again. And honestly, they should give Marcos Martin the Spider-Man artist
look at this
spot. Like,
look at this.
Looks
it's
awesome.
So good. The fucking the panels, which are the bang of the gun in slow mo. Chef's kiss. It's so good. Like,
the coloring is amazing.
This is one of, if not the best stories in both volumes, or both, like, the DC edition too. Like, it's so excellent, and it's crazy that this comes after the main story, which sucks shit. Like, and then you just turn the page and it's excellent.
I can't believe we got enough issues of this to get a 1 in 50.
Yeah, and it was
crazy.
It was a Frank Miller Steel 1 in 50, which was even crazier.
Who got it?
Worley got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? It was still here?
No,
By the
no,
time-
we held
No,
it.
we held it for him.
We
Yeah,
held it
we
for
normally
him.
don't. We normally don't do this
Why did we do this?
because
He's been around for a long
Yeah.
time, and we like to reward that.
But
Yeah.
what about Camp? What if Camp wanted it?
Hi.
oh, this is Sam Camp, friend of the pod. Sam Camp,
I like to be that.
friend of the pod.
Yeah.
We like for you to be that as well.
Yeah.
If you had a chance to get the 1 in 50 Spider-Man Superman, and that was like,
Which one was that?
It was Frank Miller's
God,
Steel.
everyone's favorite, especially the pod's favorite, Frank Miller.
Best man in comics.
Frank Miller.
Least controversial man
He's
in comics.
controversial. Hottest, too. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
sexiest.
He's really...
Biggest daddy in comics. Frank Miller.
I think it's a. I think there's a choice in going with the disco Spidey suit.
The Disco Spidey suit is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tight.
Oh, and when I was in college, I actually saw the original issue that
That's
that
awesome.
came out on, and I was like, "Please, may I have it?" And they're like, "No, fuck you." I'm like, I don't expect anything less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
We
very-
don't want to make people happy here at the comic shops. And
No.
We said we hate reading here. We hate people who read, and we only want to sell speculator comics.
yeah,
This is me, unironically.
yeah. Pearl hates reading. Pearl wishes she could forget how to read.
I do. It was a terrible choice I made in kindergarten.
Y'all peeped the new Clayface trailer?
Not yet, but
Oh.
I do need to see that. I have seen the.
Promising.
Okay.
Promising.
Promising.
That's
Okay.
all I'll say.
I do like that the DCU. We're pausing the Super Spider-Man Superman. I love that the DCU currently is like Superman. Or no, sorry, the Creature Commandos, Superman, Supergirl, Clayface.
Yeah. I mean, there was supposed to be so much more, but I guess there just was issues with the Paramount merger.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
But, you know, I will commend James Gunn for allowing their creatives to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, to actually cook.
Yeah. And for both good and for bad.
Yeah, for both for good and for bad.
But I feel like that's what needs to happen, though. Is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
the like Marvel coward's way out is like we're gonna go right down the middle and
Yeah,
allow
yeah.
you to like take no swings
Totally.
and thus have no misses and no home runs. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like you're gonna do whatever the fuck we want as your fascist overlords.
Exactly.
And what we want is middling, inoffensive garbage.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with this, it's like you get the Superman movie, and then you get whatever like Peacemaker season 3 is or something.
Oh, I forgot about
I
Peacemaker.
feel like soon we'll be referring to that as Lantern Season 1. But
Yeah, I'm excited for the Lantern series.
I'm excited too, just to see what the fuck they're doing.
I know. I just like I want to see what a 2026 Green Lantern
Yeah.
product is. Yeah, it's like it's not.
My hope would have been a continuation of the animated series, but
Yeah, I don't know that that's gonna happen though.
no.
Is it? It's not Guy Gardner, and it's not.
It's Jon Stewart and older Hal
It's
Jordan.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah, it's old Hal Jordan. Yeah, it's like Hal Jordan as like Green Lantern Sensei,
And they're
right?
old
yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Hal.
and they're going buddy cop with it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for Lanterns.
Yeah,
But
I
with
think the
how
Lanterns
they're-
are all stronger as like some kind of team.
Yeah,
book.
with how they're... I'm surprised there isn't, like, an ongoing, like, Lanterns team. I guess there is Green Lanterns, but
there's
no...
there's
just-
like a
Green Lantern
Lantern
Corps.
Corps title, isn't there?
Yeah, there's Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Corps,
is,
yeah.
that like a team-up?
That's
yeah,
the
it's a
cool-
team
yeah.
book.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's like
I don't think it's very good though.
It's like
I've
John-
flipped
yeah.
through it and it looks pretty mid.
What I'm kind of pissed about with the Lantern show is that Atrocitus seems to be in a human disguise primarily.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
one thing that
whack.
I really hate about modern superhero comics is like, dude, make them look freaky.
Give them alien designs.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of like a good example. Yeah, what is a good example of that right now? Of like,
A lot of things.
yeah,
You're gonna have to choose which one to choose. That's
Like if
easier.
we're are we talking about good like examples of like this like dog shit design principle from the 2000s where they like made everything look like, you know, quote unquote more realistic? Or are we talking about like good design?
I think we're talking about bad.
we're talking about bad examples.
Oh,
yeah, examples where they took like really insane looking characters from the comics and like
I mean, every version of the Fantastic Four movies did
Yeah.
that to their characters. Like,
I
every
guess-
version of Galactus, particularly the
I
first
guess
one.
hot take Yondu.
Yeah.
He's fairly accurate too, but like a little too accurate, and they don't really account.
Yeah, he
for...
doesn't have like the big ass.
Yeah, and they don't give him that until the second movie, and then he dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
For a
For a
2012
2016
film. Or
movie.
2016
That
film.
2000. Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
Oh, wow. So
Wow.
good. Oh.
I remember when I could just sit on that.
I know. I do
Right up
too.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac, I'm getting older too.
Mhm.
But
Oh yeah. Walter says the nasty Metamorpho in the new Superman movie is a good version.
Yeah.
Like Metamorpho looks weird in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although maybe a hot take with that one, I think he's maybe a little too over-designed with the, like, crevices and stuff. Like, I think they should have brightened up those colors. Made him
but
a
he
little
has crevices in the comic though.
He does, but that's more of a newer edition.
Yeah.
Would you have liked it better if it was just flat?
I think I didn't have to be completely flat, but I do think even bright, like go even further with it. Like I like what they did. I do like it, but I
Where's
think
the
they should have
mic?
gone. Oh shoot! I was turned backwards. I do like what they did with it, but I think they should have gone even farther with making him just like they should have just really brightened that purple and the orange, and they should have just like really leaned into it because most of the movie does lean pretty hard into its like specific aesthetics. James Gunn is not a coward about just like actually wanting these things to be comic movies.
The
I've
gun,
loved.
in fact, has a silencer on it.
What else is like? I'm trying to think of other good examples. I looked up MCU villains.
Just all of them. The CGI MODOK is pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
Um,
Ultron. I guess Ultron's kind of cool, but like you don't get the Jack Kirby power particles in the mouth.
I know. I
Yeah.
want, but like,
Yeah.
like all of the Kirby stuff, I feel like is like erased from the movies because
Yeah.
it's too weird.
Well, I mean, they're
It's like-
obviously going more Stan Lee with anything.
Yeah.
MCU related, considering he.
Dormammu's pretty weird looking.
Yeah.
it's just like if you're
If
going.
they scaled it down.
Vulture's a good example where it's like, bro, make him look like a man who wishes he was a vulture.
Even then,
Yeah.
isn't Vulture from? Isn't Vulture supposed to be taking inspiration from Vulture 2?
Yeah, but I think like the vulture in the movie, he's like,
He's all mechanical and like wearing a jet helmet.
yeah, like give him like a
and stuff like
weird
that.
like green
Yeah.
skin suit. Like,
Totally.
what are you guys
Yeah,
doing?
let him fly.
I definitely agree, but I always get angry when they take inspiration from later incarnations of a villain or a hero,
Yeah.
and then put it onto the first or
The
or
first
main,
version of
yeah.
it. Yeah.
which I just never don't understand it at all.
Yeah, it's like if you're going to steal all of Jack Kirby's work and all of the work of like multiple different artists, and you're not even going to use it, then why did you steal
did
all
you
their
do
work?
this?
Like, I'm not saying they should have stolen all their work, but like if Marvel was going to be a bunch of like thieves, at least use the shit that you stole. Like,
Yeah.
what is this disgusting CGI slop? Like, I don't like. I want to see Vulture look like a nasty dude in a green suit.
Why do the Eternals exist?
Yeah.
Yeah, like why? Like if they're not gonna look weird as hell, like why have you made an Eternals movie?
Yeah.
Why are you not going to put the? Why are you not going to have the glowy bits of their costume that made them look unique?
Yeah.
And instead give them gold inlays?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
Well, another example I feel like is like Heath Ledger Joker or Scott Snyder Joker is like, or sorry, Zack Snyder Joker, like he's not goofy enough.
No.
Like give him a flower that shoots acid and like a
Yeah.
gun that like shoots a bang flat. Like he should be
You're the Joker. Make me laugh at least
weird
once.
and like funny. Yeah. Like I've been watching the Batman animated show, not
The Prime
Batman the animated
one
series,
on
but
Prime.
the Batman.
Yeah.
No, not the Prime
Not
one.
Caped Crusader.
Not Caped Crusader.
Is that the 3D CG one?
No, it's like it's kind of like a 2000s era. It's like same era as Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh, is this the 2004 one that was on like Cartoon Network? And it's like,
No, this is a WB It's a Warner Brothers cartoon, but it's not Batman Beyond. It's called The Batman.
No, that's the one I'm talking about, the 2004 one. Yeah.
I know, because it popped up on my HBO, and I was like, what the hell is this? And then I clicked on it, and it's, like, actually insanely good. But in that, the Joker is, like, goofy as hell, and it's awesome.
Yeah, this one, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, this cooks.
Yeah.
This show goes crazy. Yeah.
This
Isn't
is...
that supposed to be the season where the Teen Titans Robin comes from?
I think so, yeah. There's a lot of, like,
Yeah.
Bat Family stuff in here. Yeah, that's the Joker in that one. And, like, obviously that's not, like, a comics-accurate Joker or whatever, but he looks all goofy and weird, you know?
Yeah.
He's, like, got a straight jacket. Aw, thank you, dude.
But this series is to Batman the Animated Series what Spectacular Spider-Man is to, like, the 90s Spider-Man show, and it's so good. It's so excellent. You should watch it.
It's really good.
This is the thing that I'm really hyped about right now is the Batman cartoon.
I'm gonna flex on you real quick. I used to watch that show at Blockbuster.
This the Batman? Yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't realize which one we were talking about.
That's so funny.
Which goes to show how many animated Batman shows there are.
Yeah, and some of them were really bad, and some of them
were bad,
really
some of them were
excellent.
good.
Yeah.
The Clayface specific to that show is excellent. I won't say anything more, but it's excellent.
Yeah, it is really good. I just watched those couple episodes where I like the Joker turning him into Clayface is really good.
Yeah, it's a good...
Because I feel like that's more interesting than, like, an industrial accident or, like... I feel like the like, actor storyline is very played out at this point. Like, I don't need to see him be an actor again.
I feel like they could go with the original version of Clayface before he was a proper Batman villain.
Yeah.
And just as, like, one of those Twilight Zone-esque
interesting
characters. Because I think the Clayface we know of is, like, Clayface 3?
Yeah, it's Clayface 2 or 3,
Yeah.
I think Clayface should be the next Matt Reeves Batman villain.
Yeah, it's kind of unknown whether the
hot
Clayface
take.
movie is Reeves or DCU.
Yeah, I think that regardless of what the Clayface movie is, I think that the Clayface should be the villain in the Batman 2, because I think he's a good villain for a detective movie. Because he's like an untraceable criminal. And then Bruce Wayne could be like, I'm gonna track him down.
I've always been an avid supporter of Man-Bat for Batman 2.
Man, that would be awesome. Yeah, man,
I don't know how that
cool.
would fit for...
I feel like it would fit, because it's grounded, and then it would be like, okay, like, Batman's gonna have to, like, face something that's, like, not grounded.
My
and
personal
it's
version
scary.
of Man-Bat has always been a Batman impersonator.
That's awesome.
Who just goes throughout the city in his own homemade Batman suit, and eventually gets to the point where he kind of just sews it onto himself.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, like a skin suit
Yeah,
situation?
kind of like a skin suit, and then maybe eventually goes into a vat of toxic waste.
Because that's kind of like
fuses.
his neuroses in this Batman cartoon is like he wants to be a better like bat than Batman, and so he turns himself into a bat, which I feel like is like a similar vibe. Yeah. Anyway, we should talk about comics.
Yeah, we should go back to the...
I'll leave you to it. I haven't read my comics for this week.
Thanks for chatting with
Thanks for chatting.
Thank you, of course. Always a pleasure.
Sorry you didn't get that 1 in 50 that you wanted.
Walter says he thinks that Reeves is producing the Clayface movie.
Yeah. Rep Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Read it.
Good shit. It's really good.
It's a great recommendation.
Thank you.
Also, do a power bomb.
Yeah, do a powerbomb. Fucking rocks. Actually,
Amazing.
well, okay, no, I can't talk about the bit of news. We're gonna get too in the weeds. So just to go back to Superman, Spider-Man, whatever the fuck. The next story by Joe Kelly and Humberto Ramos. Ramos Innocent. Ramos does some good art. Joe Kelly, I have some questions, which is that this is like a weird exact mirror to the really bad Tom King, Jim Lee story from the first one, where it's just like two women from Batman or Superman and Spider-Man's lives. In this case, Lana Lang and Gwen Stacy instead of Lois and Mary Jane, doing this thing where they like don't have personalities and they only talk about the men in their lives, and that's the entire thing. And with a lot of like really bad faux feminist dialogue, like, it's so much my tiny girl stomach couldn't possibly, before she throws a... It's very like man trying to write feminism, but then spends most of it just having these women talk about their, like, the men in their lives the whole time.
It doesn't pass the Bechdel.
No, it's aggressive. Like, look, the Bechdel is not the end-all, be-all of your thing, but if you cannot write a story about Lana Lang or Gwen Stacy that actually treats them as characters, then why did you write them? You could have just written a Superman Spider-Man story without them, because you're clearly just not interested in them as people. And it's weird that Tom King and Jim Lee did the same thing last volume too. I will say the gag at the end, Joe Kelly, is pretty funny. That's a good funny gag at the end. But anyway, shockingly, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, one of the best ones in this issue. He kind of just gets these characters. He kind of just understands the assignment. It's fun. I like it. Gary Frank does some good art on it. There is some kind of weird centrist dog whistling thing that Jeff Johns inserts in here with just like, what do you mean I don't have to pick a team? And like, everybody's arguing so much with each other these days. It's the thing that like centrist men do when they think they're interesting. Other than that, though, good. Like, it's kind of weird that he put some like weird stuff in the thing's mouth, but other than that, really good. Louise Simonson, Todd Newak, really lovely little throwback one. It just reads well. It's fun. It feels very classic, but in like a good way. I just think Steel and Hobgoblin are fun. It looks really pretty. The Supergirl Ghost Spider one is aggressively bad because Stephanie Phillips does that thing that like straight cis girl writer, like women writers like to do, where they make the women like hate each other and like say like make fun of each other the entire issue. Like, it's just kind of Ghost Spider being like, Supergirl, that's lame, and Supergirl being like, what are you, like the third girl spider? And that's like 90% of the story. I'm just like, it's like, you don't even, what is this? Like it's just weird women catfighting stuff. And I'm just like, who is this for? Like, you don't seem to like either of them. Like, and they don't like each other. And then kind of at the end, there's like a passing, begrudging respect thing to each other. But they just like show off unremarkably. Come on, man. It's a weird thing that like cis straight like women writers like to do, where they're just kind of like, these women hate each other and make fun of each other, and that's inherently interesting in of itself. And I'm like, it's not. Bendis Pacelli, I don't really have much to say about it other than it's like, it's really sweet. It gets both of these characters well. It's well drawn. The Jason Aaron Donnerman story, a lot of fun. A lot of good respect on Jane Foster Thor. It looks gorgeous as fuck. It's one of the only ones that like actually does something interesting with merging these two universes together with like what is Fourth World, like what is Smashing Kirby's like Fourth World and like Asgard stuff together actually look like, and what does that do for like, you know, All-Father Darkseid? That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like actual interesting.
Oh, art looks really good.
Yeah, Donnerman just comes back like he was never gone and just like slays it, and just makes me want to read more Jane Foster Thor. It's just delightful. It's a good run. Like, you can just have women characters that respect each other and are interesting.
Well, and it's crazy too, because it's like a man writing it, but like just really well.
Yeah.
You know, like he just cares about his characters.
Yeah, it's like turns out sometimes like just because you have an identity doesn't mean that like
you can't have empathy enough to write a story about another identity.
Yeah, and inversely, like, just because you have that identity doesn't necessarily mean that like you have the like empathy or interest to like engage that way. Like, there is like, I think it's infinitely more feminist to write like a smart, thoughtful story about how Jane Foster is like heroic because of who she is. That is more inherently quote unquote like feminist to me than just like a woman writer just making like Supergirl and Ghost Spider just like quip at each other how much they hate each other.
Yeah. Should we talk Flash?
Let's talk Flash. Yeah.
So we both read, I guess it's this Flash issue 32, but in my mind it's Flash issue 2, because it's the second issue in Ryan North's Flash run.
Mm-hmm.
But it is issue 32 of the, like, current DC run of the Flash. This is, like, a continuation of the storyline started in the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is really good. I'm really excited
Yeah.
for North's Flash run. It's, this is, like, the same way that I felt when he started writing the Fantastic Four. I was, like, I feel like I haven't been excited for a Flash storyline in a long time, and, like, this has injected some, like, excitement into it for me. It's, it continues to be, like, one of the sweetest superhero books on the shelf. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, like, Flash. It's, like, literally, like, the super villainous plan is to make Flash save so many people that he's too distracted to stop the supervillain's master evil plan.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because it bakes in the superhero saving people right into the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a while ago Walter was saying, like, he thinks it's one of the best engagements with, like, social media that a superhero book has had in a really long time, or, like, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it continues to be that. The storyline is basically, like, someone says they'll give $10,000 every day to whoever can get the best footage of Flash saving them from dying. And so all of a sudden, all of the citizens of Central City are, like, throwing themselves off buildings and shit to, like, get the Flash to save them. And it's really fun. I also love the Captain Cold appearance in this book. I love how many ice villains DC has. And I love this, like, begrudging relationship respect between the Flash and Captain Cold. It very much gives, like, the occasional moments when, like, Spider-Man and Doc Ock have to team up to do, like, some kind of science thing, or, like, the Tinny and Detective Comics era where the Riddler was a private detective.
Yeah.
And, no, that was the Paul Dini, sorry. In the Paul Dini comics, when Riddler becomes a private detective and reforms, and he and the Batman end up, like, working the same cases a lot of the time, and they have this, like, begrudging respect for one another as, like, former adversaries who are, like, also able to recognize each other's intelligence and competence. And that happens here with Captain Cold and the Flash, and it doesn't feel, like, super cliched or anything, because, like, it does feel like two independent characters, like, interacting with agency, and it's a really good time. It's really fun.
Yeah.
This is, like, a comic nerd who loves the Flash writing the Flash, and it's a great freaking time.
Yeah, I love it. I'm on record for, having been, like, a person who likes the Flash more in theory than in practice, but, like, this puts in practice a lot of what I love about the Flash in theory, which is just, like, his inherent kindness. Like, he is genuinely one of the kindest and most personable of, like, DC stable, like, most of the time. Like, this really puts that into clarity. Like, I really appreciate that it's, like, it's a weird science hero book that doesn't feel too convoluted. Ryan North is, like, a science guy who's really good at explaining science in a way that's really approachable and finding creative, silly superhero situations through the specifics of, like, a weird science fact of, like, here's how cold interacts with the air in this particular way, and that's gonna, like,
and he's also not too concerned with, like, convincing you that, like, this is actually how it would work either, which is very nice, because, like, people can get a little too in the weeds with being like, no, like, I promise you this is how it would actually happen. Like, it's all Silver Age goofy nonsense, because it's like, he's Captain freaking Freeze or whatever, but it's like, or Captain Cold, but, like, it still feels, like, grounded enough that you're not like, oh, things are just happening in this universe,
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice.
And it's just, like, it's nice to see Linda West be, like, a really, like, even, she's not in a ton of the book, but when she is in the book, she feels like a person with her own, like, ideas and agency, and, like, Flash really respects her as, like, a partner and as just also as, like, a person, and, like, he comes to her for advice pretty regularly, and like,
they love each other too. It's really clear that they love each other as two people actually do love one another.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, they're married.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is, like, quietly one of the best books DC's put
The
out.
art is great too.
Yeah.
It's Guidry, isn't
Guidry,
it?
yeah. Guidry just continues to be just like a really sharp cartoonist. Like, he's not doing anything like super explosively wild with his line work, but he's just like such a competent cartoonist.
Yeah, his work really fits for the Flash too, I think.
Yeah.
It's a great cover too, honestly. I mean, again, it's like really simple, but it's just like a really good cover. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just saving some kids from a big ass train. The composition like is really good. I don't know. I'm all around a really big fan of this. I'll probably be picking it up in trade and returning the issues, but
Same, yeah.
I'll probably like keep the trade, honestly, just because. I mean, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I returned my Fantastic Four trade, but
Hello, hi Mark.
How are you?
Good, have you?
We gotta use code names on the podcast.
I know for the millions of people listening.
We could get doxxed.
The first appearance of Absolute Sam and Absolute Mark.
You can't dox Mark.
Let's talk about In Your Skin by Didier Bidikar.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to like not talk too many specifics because you haven't read it yet.
No, I have read it.
Oh no, you did read it. Okay.
I did read it, yeah.
I would like to hear your thoughts first, actually.
Okay. Well, this is the first book from what it seems like is some version of a studio from Romvi at Image. I don't really know.
This is actually a Tiny Onion book. I didn't realize that until the second time reading, but I was like looking through, and it's actually a Tiny Onion.
Yeah, I thought it was Tiny Onion. Isn't it Romvi's label too, though?
Is it Romvi's label too?
Or is it Tinian?
It's just Tiny Onion as far as I can see, but I mean, but like the influence of Romvi as a frequent collaborator.
No, I'm pretty
really
sure
signifies.
I'm pretty sure he has a production credit on it.
He's definitely like included in like a background. Like he's like drawn into the background of this book.
Romvi's first DC publication. No, fuck, what the heck? Romvi posted about this as something from his label, though.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's cool.
I think he's like some version of like he's like the comics version of a producer on this. I think.
And that makes a lot of sense. Like he's him and Bidikar are frequent collaborators. They've worked on, I think most of Romvi's comics have been lettered by Bidikar.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe it is just Tiny Onion. Huh. Weird. I thought that I was seeing Romvi post about this. Maybe I got Romvi and Tinian mixed up. Anyway, I thought this was really good. I'm really curious to see where it goes. This comic, without kind of getting too in the weeds about it, is a comic about a woman who is obsessed with a Bollywood star, and is kind of obsessed with her to the point of desperately wanting to be her and feeling kind of like deeply angered by the fact that she isn't her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unclear kind of like what she does to become her, but basically the first issue follows her pursuit to literally become this woman. And there's a lot going on here to the extent that like to the point that you don't really know everything that you don't really understand everything that happens in this first issue just because it's a lot being thrown at you all at once, and you're not really fully sure the timeline of events in the first issue. It feels very much kind of like a story told by the garbled mind of a kind of mad person. The art on it is beautiful. It's really kind of fittingly strange and wild feeling, and you can turn the page and have like a really insane kind of like Nice House on the Lake-esque set of images, and then turn the page a few more times and have this like really weird idyllic layout, and then you'll get like this really intense sex scene or something. Like this is not a book for the faint of heart, I would say.
Yeah.
Really good installment in current horror comics, I think. I struggle to see this being like really good past like a 15th issue or something. Like I'm not really sure that
It's a 4 issue, I'm pretty sure.
it's a mini, okay. I was gonna say, like, I don't think this has the juice for, like, a prolonged series. I also think, like, it's gonna be really dependent on how the rest of these issues kind of pan out, but I think he's, like, set this up to be really, really good. I also think it's going to be interesting to see how women are written in this book, because I think it would be really easy to go down an unfortunate path, or not necessarily an unfortunate path, but just like a less well thought out path than the first issue is maybe suggestive of.
Yeah. And I do think the first issue gives a really strong indication to me that, like, they will be written well.
Yeah, there's some storytelling that I found, like, a little more blunt than it needed to be. Like, her interactions with her mother, I was kind of like, this is really intense, and, like, I get what you're trying to do, but I also am like, this is not, like, the most subtle form of writing or characterization. I wish it had been a little more legible. Not, like, literally legible, but, like, I wish I had a better sense of what was going on in issue 1. Just because, like, I think if you're going to put something out in issues, I would like to feel like I know what's happening in each issue. I don't know, like, part of me is like, would this be better as a graphic novel? And I'll have to read the next 3 issues to be sure. But I will definitely be reading the next 3 issues. This is something I wish that DC Vertigo is printing.
Yeah, this feels actually
like,
more
this should be a Vertigo book, and then, like,
Peril the
like,
Brutal Dark.
End of Life should be an Image book. You know,
Yeah.
like, this is, like, the kind of things that I associate with Vertigo. And it's being put out by Image. This is definitely the most interesting Image book coming out right now.
You can tell this is not one of the Image speculator books because I was telling Corinne this because Corpse Night came out this week and there's like 10 covers or whatever, and who gives a fuck. And then, like, In Your Skin has 2 covers, and it is a book which features, like, a nuanced portrayal of, like, industry sexual violence. And that's just not something you can market as, like... You can't make that into, like, a spec book. It's got, like, 2 covers, and it's, like, dark and really... and also very culturally specific. Like, Aditya Bidikkar's... because in the full issue that they sent me when I read it the first time did not have the back essay.
Oh, I haven't read the back essay yet.
The back essay, I don't know if I would say, like, it tells you anything wholly new, but it does put this, like, book's specific focus on obsession in a particular context, because there have been a lot of books about obsession and, like, stardom. This one is, like, very, very specific to Bollywood, and, like, I think Bidikkar does a really strong job of, like, explaining why that's, like, critical for this book, and why, like...
Yeah.
And what... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, and just, like, what effect that, like, has on... Like, obsession is a different thing entirely when you're talking about, like, these cultural figures revered as gods, at least in their heyday, like, even revered in the same tone.
Yeah.
Aditya, they talk extensively about the way that their father explained Bollywood figures to them, and, like, the cultural context that Bollywood figures existed in, and, like, the kind of changes over time. And it does help put the book in a particular context that really makes it... Because I'm not usually a stardom obsession. That's not usually a type of story that I'm particularly interested in.
Yeah.
But I think Bidikkar does a really strong job of, like, making it specific. I do like also that this protagonist is, like, both very unlikable and victimizes people in certain ways while also being a victim in other ways. Like, there is, like, a nuance to these kind of, like, complex, like, social dynamics and social violences.
Yeah, I mean, even the kind of, like, social violence of her sex with her, like, friend who's also a producer is, like, far more complex than I think a less intelligent or less dedicated writer would have made it. I mean, there's, like... Because I think it's the same person who, like, bandages her up in, like, the first or second scene is the person that she sleeps with now.
Yeah, and that he, like, implicitly kind of is, like...
He's, like, uncomfortable. Well, he's explicitly uncomfortable.
But also he does, is like, he pretty strongly implies to her, like, you need to sleep with me to get this thing that you want. And then when faced with that reality, he becomes uncomfortable, and she's like, no, if you're gonna fuck me, take me like a man. Like, which is really strong and striking, like, writing, but also really upsetting.
This is not a book for the faint of heart.
No.
I'm curious to see where this goes. I could see it being really amazing. I could see it being a bit disappointing. Obviously, I hope it's the former. Yeah, this is what I was hoping Vertigo would be. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
And the art's gorgeous, too.
Yeah, the art's gorgeous. Yeah, Som Lee is... Yeah, I've never seen their work before. I know they've done a couple other things, but they're really really striking. They remind me a little bit of like a less frenetic Anand RK. Particularly, you notice some of the hands or the way like a certain supernatural potentially supernatural thing is drawn with like these like very small noodly kind of like towards the very end of that. Like gives me a little bit of Anand RK. The paneling is really striking and strong. Like I do appreciate that it's like. Jay Lee kind of does paneling like this sometimes too, but it's often a little too jagged, a little too unfocused, whereas like I think the jaggedness of this actually does work really well in a propulsive kind of sense, because it's not too much. It's not like overwhelming legibility. It's and like really the color palettes where it's like sometimes it's like much more expansive in its palette, and other times like the way that it like kind of bleaches out the color here and then goes right back to it, and kind of these like I don't know what that would be. Is that like a wash?
I guess a wash.
Yeah.
This is just like really interesting new feeling comics. It feels new in the same way that like Bleeding Hearts or something felt new, where I'm just far more intrigued to see where this goes than I am for most comics on the shelf right now.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah, we should talk about all the cameras in my room before Pearl passes out from the sheer exhaustion of hanging out with us.
It is exhausting.
Lo and behold, happy day to gay people everywhere. There is a new Michael DeForge graphic novel out in the world, which Pearl and I have read. It's called All the Cameras in My Room. It's another one of his short story collections. If you're not familiar with Michael DeForge, he was the character designer for Adventure Time. He then went on to do a lot of really, really good gay anarchist comics. They're all honestly really excellent. Pearl and I both read this one for the podcast. I'm definitely keeping mine because Michael DeForge is my boy. He's one of my like top 3 working cartoonists. I just love this guy so much. Pearl, tell me about your experience reading this book.
Was it gay?
It's so casually gay. Just like, oh, there's a sex scene. They both have wieners. Like it goes unremarked, and it's just like, I don't know. It's nice.
Just out on the shelves.
It's just out on the shelves.
Where anybody could see it.
It's just a world where being gay is kind of normal, which is nice. It is a collection of short stories, and they range from like, I don't know, 2-page ditties about a man with too many cameras in his room to like, 20-page screeds of anarcho punks becoming informants for the government.
You called them anarcho informants, which was really funny.
They are. Well, they start out as anarchists, and then they become informants, and then they kind of do more anarchy while they're being informants, and then they you gotta read it.
No, you're great.
What's really cool about this book is that it comes with a zine.
I know, this is amazing.
That as soon as you open the front page, there's a little pocket in there with its own little zine in there, with its own little story in the zine.
Bravo, Drawn and Quarterly.
It's very much the Drawn and Quarterly touch, one
of the comics houses that Walter is unfamiliar with.
Absolutely.
One day we will Drawn and Quarterly pill him.
What's your favorite story in here?
My two favorite stories in here for completely different reasons are This Call is Being Monitored for Quality Assurance, which is a story that kind of like links all of... It's a guy who is simultaneously like a phone sex operator, a like call center service agent, and like a suicide hotline like guy, and he's doing kind of all of these jobs at the same time, and it's kind of merging all of the ways in which like a human telephone operator job like kind of like merges into this kind of one same job where he's like talking someone down from suicide while also like asking them if they're like hungry for cum or whatever.
My favorite is like when he's like, tell me what you think about my cock. By the way, these are verification questions to ensure the security of our customers. Now tell me how you want to be. It's just like it all melts together, like all these different phone jobs.
It's a really smart, like, kind of like, because not all of them, but a lot of the stories in this collection are kind of about the ways in which like technology is kind of like removing the human from like our daily lives. And so this story in particular, this call may be recorded.
I'm an algorithm booster, algorithm fan.
I'm an algo.
Yeah,
love that.
We should fucking put that in our brains. I love ads.
I love talking ad speak with the boys.
Yeah.
I love reels. I love reelin'.
I love Salesforce.
Reelin' and dealin'.
Yeah.
But this this story like merges those kind of like, what does it actually mean to have like a human being on the other end of the line, and kind of combines them all into one insane little piece. So that's probably my favorite one. But the other one is the Universal Monsters story, where Dracula and the Wolfman are like gay boyfriends who are going to their other like monster friends and being like, hey, like I'm having some trouble with my boyfriend. He like kind of fucks me weird, or like he said this thing which was like kind of hurtful and I don't really know how to talk to him. And so they all kind of like have these like gay relationships outside of their primary partners, and they're trying to figure out how to be like gay monsters in love. It's really good. It's also really hot. There's a lot of Michael DeForge has always been a pretty explicit creator, but like this is some of his most sexual and his most violent work. It's just really horny and really funny. Pearl, what were you telling me about his dry irony earlier in the car?
Almost all the stories have just this Michael DeForge, I don't know. DeForginess, yes. Just like, I don't know, like a man is famous for the movie that he made, but he's not that impressed by the movie, nor does he think it is like the best quality of his work. Or like the anarchist kids who are all doing like direct action when really they're also all becoming informants, like against each other. Like there's just this sort of like ambient, ironic energy to. The library one was so strange.
The library simulator.
Or I think about like Leaving Richards Valley. There's like a whole protagonist whose like whole deal is he like really really wants to be like good at noise music, and he thinks he's really good at noise music, and everyone fucking hates his noise music. But then like a cult forms around how important noise music is to your soul, and he's like the leader of the cult, but all the cult members hate noise music.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like one of the funniest people out there.
Really is, yeah.
But it's not about gags at all.
No, it's not remotely a gag comic at all. Like, there's one in here where it's like a mother...
says that your term ambient irony makes a lot of sense.
Like that.
Yeah.
There's
Walter upvoted you.
Nice.
There's one in here about a mother lamb, or like a lamb-like thing, whose like kids die, and the mom's just like, oh fuck, it's spread into a bunch of other weird little things, and they're making noises, and it's my weekend, and I have to go back to work, and I don't know how to handle this. I'm gonna leave, and it keeps trying to run away.
That one was so strange. She like kills one of the things.
There's one in here that's like Johnny Appleseed, but for cum.
Oh, the Johnny Appleseed cum is so peak.
And I'm just gonna read some narration from DeForge for this one page because I think that gives you an idea of how Michael DeForge writes. At the height of his popularity, he was invited to the 2024 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Zurich as a keynote speaker. He admonished his audience of politicians, executives, think tank consultants, and NGO celebrities for profiteering off an extinction event. His speech was excoriating. The crowd went wild with applause. This is a process climate scholar Andre Flew describes as the depoliticization of Larry's cum. Flew and Larry collaborated on the disruption of the Pine Rails pipeline. Larry's powerful cum was used to halt the project's construction. It was later used to destroy railway and highway infrastructure and seal the entrance of an Eagle Ferrar weapons plant. The economic impact of the Larry Flew cum disruptions was estimated to be upwards of 500 million.
Yeah, his cum really changes the world. This one where they are obsessed with the K-pop star, so they break into his home and tie him up and steal all his money so that they can buy more tickets to the K-pop show.
It's he's so vulnerable when he's tied up like that. That's crazy.
That one was so great. Anyways, it's just a lot of Michael DeForge fuckery, and I kind of can't get enough of it.
He's so freaking good. Everyone needs to read him.
If you haven't read Michael DeForge, just read it now. He's so fucking funny. His, he writes some, he can write some, pretty smart, heady, science fiction concepts, too, when he wants to, but also in a way that's, not overwhelming or intense. There's, an almost Chainsaw Man-esque bit with the little zine that has, some kind of wild, sci-fi world-building implications for something that is objectively very silly and ridiculous, and he just kind of plays it out for 10 pages in a way that's way more way smarter and more thoughtful than you'd ever expect this very silly ice skating concept to be. He's a good sci-fi writer. He's an excellent comedy writer. He's just one of the best cartoonists doing it right now. Read Michael DeForge or else we'll have words. Me and your mother will have words with you.
And your dad, too.
And your dad, too.
And your little dad, too.
It's called a polycule. Ever heard of it, fucko?
Yeah. I'm going to start a polycule with your parents.
If you
that's something that would happen to Michael DeForge.
It is.
That might have even been a Michael DeForge comic at some point.
I can see it. Some gay boy getting bullied at high school, and then he's like, start a polycule with your parents, bully. And the bully comes home and he started a polycule. You should make that comic.
And then it goes on for 10 pages longer than you expect it to,
that
but
should
also
be a
way
Nancy in Hell comic. Where Sluggo starts a polycule with one of their bully's parents.
Filing that away for later.
Anyway, should we finish it off?
I think one more thing to talk about. Yeah. Not nearly as in depth.
Watch out for Nancy in Hell, by the way. This May 2nd.
Yeah, free comic book day.
Free comic book day.
Sorry, comic book giveaway day.
I'm going to dead name it. I'm sorry. Sorry if that's not woke, but
The newspapers will refer to it the same way they refer to Twitter. The comic book giveaway day. Formerly free comic book day.
The artist formerly known as free comic book day. PRH doesn't get to fucking tell me shit. PRH doesn't get to say a damn thing. I'm sticking with it.
What's Rabugu Race?
The Rabugu Race, this is created by Goresh. I knew kind of nothing about it when I first came in, other than, this is Goresh's first graphic novel. They put out, a big zine-like thing called Disco Levante a couple years ago. That's, a really good... It's kind of like if Anand RK drew Blame, the manga Blame. This one is just, an extremely, psychedelic, boat racing story. It's this legendary boat race where 100 boat racers are trying to race against each other to get one wish. It's very One Piece-y, and all of them but 3 die. It's just these 2 bigger ships and then this one kid and his dog who are running this tiny rig, and they're just out on the high seas just getting blown about. It's not always clear what's always necessarily happening, but what's literally happening is not always the most important thing. about this comic. These are like walls of texture and color and noise. The lettering is like all hand done in these like extremely gorgeous ways. It's non-stop color and fury and noise.
Gorgeous.
It's the prettiest coloring I've seen all year, and some of the prettiest lettering I've seen all year too. It's unbelievable how good this book looks. Partway through, it becomes a much different thing that I won't get into a ton, other than it's like an exploration of grief in a way that doesn't necessarily feel far off from like It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth in a weird sort of way, while still kind of also being this like psychedelic boat racing comic. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's fucking gorgeous. I don't really know how to talk about it deeper than that, other than it's great. Like, I think Goresh is really really talented. Even in black and white with like Disco Levante, like, it was just clear that this guy had just unbelievable levels of juice. And so I've been eagerly awaiting his like psychedelic boat comic for a long time. It's fantastic. The only thing that's like kind of odd about it is it's like dedicated to both like his dead dog and Ed Piskor, which is odd. I didn't really know what to do with that. Whereas like the stuff about his dog is like really beautiful and really thoughtful, and it's just like, what's Ed Piskor doing here?
Yeah, I wonder if they were friends or something.
They probably were. A lot of indie comics guys were.
Did something happen to Ed Piskor?
The same thing that happened to Dave Pilkey.
Oh my god, they were in cahoots.
I just wanted to make that noise.
That was...
That was impressive.
I was a little turned on.
Pearl, sing us out.
I am a woman, and you are the audience. And together that makes us a podcast.
Also maybe a polycule.
Farewell.
Subscribe to the Patreon and you'll be entered into our polycule tier.
Cool. Comics rule everything around me. Cream, get the comics. We are the escapist.
Thank you. I'm actually gonna need you to do that again because the gain was really low.
Oh my god. Where did you get those gains, Pearl?
Yeah.
We talked about this is the most Wu-Tang I've done in my life. What is, oh my god, you drew the Pearl?
It's almost done.
It's really the bits that she's posted are really good.
Oh my god, it looks brilliant.
Okay, Pearl, hit it.
Comics rule everything around me. Cream, get the comics. We are the escapist.
Welcome back to another episode of the Absolute Ultimate Escapist Comics podcast. I'm Tate.
I'm Persephone.
I'm Dr. Pearl.
And we're joined by
Acacia.
a woman who's quickly becoming a standard character, at the very least a B-list hero in the Absolute Ultimate Escapist universe, Acacia.
I'll take it. All my favorite heroes are B-listers.
Yeah,
so.
you're at the very least a Hawkeye,
Hell yes.
in the best way possible.
And best than America Chavez.
Yeah,
Ooh.
or Ms. Marvel, perhaps. Yeah.
Ooh, Miss Marvel is a B-lister. Hot take.
Well, she doesn't have a run. There's no Ms. Marvel floppy on the shelf right now.
Ugh, tragic.
I know,
It
it's
hasn't
fucked
been
up.
like in 2 years.
She shouldn't
right?
be a B-lister. She's being forced into the B category. I did just watch a comics video essay that fully agreed with what you were saying the last time you came on to the comics podcast, which is the essay tagline is just Storm has outgrown the X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
And I clicked it because we had just had the whole conversation, and I was like, holy shit, like, there's other people saying this. Yeah, like, people are on the same wave as Acacia. And I couldn't agree more. It's time to move Storm out of the X section in the new comics room and put her under ST.
Yes.
If you're trying to put her on a team, you've already done a bad job. Like, at this point, she just like is above being on like a traditional Avengers X-Men team.
I would
thing.
love to see like a Storm, Jane Foster, Thor team up comic.
Oh, that would go.
I feel like that would be
crazy.
fun.
I'd read that.
Like traveling through space or some shit. Like I feel like that would be cool. Why is Spider-Man in space?
Where's Jane Foster in comics these days? I haven't heard anything about her.
I have
one-
not been
a
reading
long-ass
Immortal
time.
Thor, so I don't know.
She's not in Mortal Thor. No one's done anything with her. The last time she showed up was actually in that Spider-Man Superman issue, and lo and behold, it was Jason Aaron and Russell Donnerman that brought her back.
That's the last run of Thor that I read, is that Aaron run, which is very good, and is also like the most Jane Foster focused thing that I've read.
Yeah, Jane Foster shows up a bunch in his X-Men, or not his X-Men, sorry, his Avengers, from my understanding, but Marvel's kind of just canned her, which really sucks, because she's a cool and interesting character. Like, even that little story in Spider-Man Superman, like, put a lot of respect on her name and, like, really, like, was an interesting...
I actually hate women in comics.
I know.
I don't think that women should make comics. I don't think that they should have opinions on comics, much less record them in any kind of archival, audio, visual, even text format. And I hate when
agree.
there are women characters in comics. I don't think they belong in there.
I mostly agree because I think women should be the CEOs of every comic company, and we should let the men do the grunt work.
Like making the comics.
Like making the comics.
You heard it here first, folks. The only real work in comics is the work CEOs do.
Oh my god, and they're all women and they're like in dominatrix outfits too.
Like that one dream sequence in 9 to 5.
Oh yeah.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and they said that the glass gutter is just as important as the glass ceiling, and that we should allow more women to break the glass gutter.
Oh my god.
Need more trash-ass women, and I fully agree with this.
We've got some comics news today. That's going to be led by Persephone.
It's going to be kind of a quick roundup on this one. Jim Lee reported some health issues, pre-diabetes, I believe it was, which is why Hush 2 has been so delayed. They should probably stop asking him to do a million fucking interlocking covers. Because I know that Hush 2 has, like...
I think they've got
10?
20 covers.
20 covers, and, like, 10 of them are, like, various interlocking covers that they're asking Jim Lee to do.
They're trying to be assorted crisis events so bad.
They just don't have that.
They don't have the sauce.
They don't have the sauce. Like, and look, a Jeff Loeb book did come out this week, Batman, Wonder Woman, Truth. None of us read it. It's the little bit of it that I read was bad. We're not even going to talk about it because it's kind of beneath our notice. Speaking of much better writers, actually, sorry, Jim Chung Innocent. The Jim Chung art's really, really pretty. But speaking of much better writers, Jerry Conway passed away recently. Gail Simone was doing some good obits on him just because he was a huge influence on her work, and she talks pretty regularly online about how much Jerry Conway's work like meant to her. I'm not well versed enough to really be talking about Jerry Conway, so I won't. But yeah, he seems like a really interesting, unique dude. He was like, pretty, like right next to Marv Wolfman in the 70s is like a pretty like important figure in like Marvel comics work. Similarly, Roger Sweet, the creator of He-Man, also died in this last week. I also don't know enough about him, but maybe
This is when we should have Corinne on the podcast.
I was just about to say, like, I think Corinne should
Yeah.
be on the podcast to talk about this because she's much better at it than I am.
Yeah, I mean, she just knows more about frickin' He-Man than any of us.
Yeah.
I don't really know anyone who would know like as much about the Energon universe.
I'm gonna choose to call it the Energon universe because I respect that more than G.I. Joe.
That's right though, right?
I think so. That's about accurate. Similar. Jumping off from that, we're gonna talk about the Dennis Camp dartboard incident, which after a certain president was not assassinated at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, Dennis Camp posted a tweet which just said, "Damn, missed again, sad face." And when fans got upset about this, he posted a picture of a dartboard that was badly thrown at, and he said, "No, I'm just like a big darts enthusiast, guys. I'm just talking about darts." Somebody else then figured out that obviously it was just a stock image of a dartboard. but there's a little bit of a minor controversy going right now. Minor because he's not a trans woman, so like, and then yet
Keep hope alive.
give me 5. No, shouldn't have said that. But you know, the only thing I'll kind of say to continue that is just like, we're going to be talking a lot more about comic book controversies a lot later. But we used to have creators who fucking believed things and said it with their full chest. Jamie Delano would have said to kill Margaret Thatcher any day of the week if you asked him, and he regularly did in the pages of Hellblazer. There was that 70s Captain America comic where it's implied that Richard Nixon is the leader of Hydra and shoots himself in the head. We used to believe things, for whatever that's worth.
Even like the Giffen Justice League International has like a lot of just like pretty overt, I mean not like Delano Hellblazer level overt, but like pretty overt criticism and mockery of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
There's just, it's very thinly veiled, and that was the Justice League title at the time, which like you would just never see now. My God.
Yeah, you would never.
I cannot imagine a Justice League comic now where they like shit talk the president.
No.
It just wouldn't happen.
We really lost something, truly.
Like, in one sense, we've gotten better on kind of like religious stuff. It's like you can have Swamp Thing 89 now, in a way that you couldn't at the time. But yeah, now that nobody can have political beliefs. Corinne did also point out to me that it was a lot harder to know where you lived back in the day.
Yeah.
Like no one was like turning up to Jamie Delano's house to send him death threats, whereas it's like other comics creators have talked about how many like death and rape threats they've gotten for anything and everything, including having a woman or a black character in something, or
being a woman who was born with a penis, say,
or a
la Comic Skate.
Oh yeah. Or wishing for the death of Charlie Kirk, which was correct. Gretchen Felker Barton was right.
Yeah, I'm a Gretchen truther. As in, she told the truth and she was correct.
It was literally that fucking chick tract. Like they yelled at Jesus because Jesus spoke the truth.
Yeah, dude, that's been my favorite soundbite lately. I'll say something like really out of pocket, and then when people look at me like a crazy person, I just go, they killed Jesus because he told the truth.
Yeah. Why would you say something so controversial and yet so brave, etc., etc.? But that's kind of all about that. Jumping into kind of the last thing, which is going to lead into our first book, we'll talk about briefly. We're going to talk about Marvel Pride 2026. Because they finally announced what the stories are going to be, and look, I've long joked that Hulkling and Wiccan are the only two gay people that are like actually real in Marvel. They're the only ones Marvel will like allow out of the gate, and that seemed like maybe a little bit too far, because it's like, okay, there's other ones, like there's North Star and there's Mystique and Destiny. Is it Destiny's her name? There's other ones, and then Marvel Pride 2026 said there's just not other gay people. There are 4 stories in Marvel Pride 2026.
That's a really poor showing.
Wait, there are 4 stories total?
There are 4 stories total. One of them is about Viv Vision. The other ones are, and I quote, a Hulkling Wiccan story, number 1. Number 2, a Hulkling and someone else story. And number 3, a Wiccan and someone else story. Featuring an interview with Tegan and Sarah, God's least offensive lesbians.
Oh dear.
This is what happens when you want some of that gay money, but Jim Shooter's ghost is shouting too many slurs in the office for you to put through anything.
Persephone and her Jim Shooter's ghost.
until Marvel like has like actual gay people around, like I don't want to hear like Jim Shooter's just there.
That's so funny because I'm wearing my like gay X-Men t-shirt today.
Yeah.
And I can count on one hand like the number of characters on this shirt who are currently in a Marvel comic.
Exactly. Yeah. Like there are gay people in Marvel
all these
books
bitches that are B-listers at best.
I know.
Oh no,
just like
he's done
you.
it to me.
I'm
reading the book with all the alliterations. I'm sorry.
The B list stands for the baddie list. But this is what I'm saying. Is like Marvel has gay people, they've just decided that, like, God's least offensive gay men are, like, the only ones they can trot out. And then Tegan and Sarah, just so those dykes will give us some fucking money.
Yeah, they're trying to get a cut of the Harley and Ivy cash grab.
Which is actually just which leads right into...
The fact that Marvel has nothing even close to a Harley and Ivy.
No, seriously,
Like,
yeah. There's, like, no...
Just no lesbian lovers in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Not allowed.
There's just no girls kissing, much less fingering.
You know what DC is doing for Pride? They're doing an entire mini-series with 2 trans women leading it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's
Is
gotta be
Gatsby
sick.
writing it?
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
what's
yeah.
the series?
It's going to be Justice League Dream War,
Oh, hell
which
yeah.
spins off from this Justice League Intergalactic, which is written by Josiah Axelrod.
Oh, okay, so I
and,
I should read this.
and Nicole Maines. And I'm not going to talk about it a ton. I think it's a good issue. I think it's really fun.
I'll pick this back up, because I put it back on the shelf, but I will read it knowing this now.
I think you should.
The art looks good, too.
It's very pretty art. A lot of the issue is like 2 trans women just getting to have a complex relationship with each other, and like it's not groundbreaking or anything. It's not like shattering any I don't know what the transsexual version of a glass ceiling is, but like it's not shattering any of those, but like it's good, well-rounded, well-written trans characters, 2 of whom are just trans women who are just leading it. I just want to, and like very bluntly too, like one of them says, "I'm a wanted woman in 3 countries and a wanted man in 6."
That's so good.
Like, and like it just allows these trans women to like exist and be like front and center and like have a complicated relationship to each other, and like Dreamer and Green Arrow have like complicated history and relationships, and I'm like, I can't even imagine a gay person in Marvel right now having complex
Yeah, I was gonna
relationships
say,
with
like,
anybody.
Like, Marvel is, like, severely cutting down on how many stories are in their Pride issue. Meanwhile, it's not even Pride yet, and we're seeing Harley and Ivy fucking in 2 separate series right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's 2 separate series in which they're pretty explicitly having sex, and it is April.
Yeah.
Like, they're just less sinister than Marvel.
Yeah.
And DC is not an infallible company.
Gretchen Poker Martin, obviously, what they did to her.
And yet,
Yeah.
somehow they're leaps and bounds more progressive than Marvel is.
It's depressing that that DC is the best of the big companies. Like, there's more gay shit in DC right now than most of Image, which is weird and embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, the gayest book I feel like Image is putting out is Assorted Crisis Events, which is, like, not even, like, really that gay of a book. It's just, like, a book for freaks.
Yeah.
You know, that, like, I do think there are a couple... There's a couple queer characters in that book. But, like, it's not... That's not what the book's about.
No,
You know, like,
no.
it's not...
No.
It's just that, like, Dennis Kemp is a normal enough person to be like, yeah, I can just have, like, 2 gay guys in my book.
Yeah. Which just, like, yeah, like, once you stop having just, like, the same, like, 5 white dude writers doing things and, like, straight dude writers writing things, like, you get a lot more writers who are just, like, yeah, even if my book is, like, not about, you know, queerness or race or anything, or, like, a disability or whatever, that, like, they just will have disabled characters of color, queer characters who just, like, exist in the book and have, like, meaningful roles within it. And, like, that's good and beautiful, and that's much more interesting to me than, like, trotting out Hulkling and fucking Wiccan to just be, like, little puppet gay guys asking for your money. So, yeah, check out Justice League Intergalactic. It's cute, it's fun, it's well written. There's a fun, Some Like It Hot bit in here.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. Exactly. To kind of bounce, I'm just going to get out of the way. Tony Millionaire's Oddball Odyssey it's alright. The art's very pretty. Story didn't do much of anything for me, but it is nice seeing Tony Millionaire do weird shit, and it's nice to see Bad Idea being willing to put stock in a Tony Millionaire book right next to a, like, Joshua Dysart, Bill Sinkovich book right next to a, like, I forgot what the other... Ramon Villalobos, there we go. It's nice to see Bad Idea do what, like... What's that fucking... Distillery. Do what Distillery thought it was doing. And just, like, put good independent creators in front of the page.
Do you want to go into some Swamp Thing historical background?
Yeah, I think actually you should lead with the Tom Veitch prehistory stuff, and then we'll get into the like what led up to this this issue, if you feel up to talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have like a really fleshed out explanation of like what canonically leads to the Jesus issues.
But just kind of like,
but
you
yeah,
know, what the Tom Veitch run is.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Veitch's run. What Veitch's run reads to me is so Veitch picked up Swamp Thing directly after Alan Moore, the writer who made Swamp Thing the kind of comics legend and sort of canonical mainstay that it is. So Veitch picked it up after Moore finished his run on Swamp Thing, which was much longer than Veitch's. Veitch's is probably like 2 or 3 trades, like not trades, but like paperback collections long.
He was the illustrator on a bunch of Moores.
Yeah, so Veitch was working kind of closely with Moore, along with Bissett and several other kind of, I mean, honestly, like legends of fantasy and horror illustration in their own right. And Veitch took up writing duties on the series after Moore. And in many ways, I think it feels like a continuation of what Moore was seeking to do with the run. I think there's like... It's definitely tonally different from Alan Moore's run, but it is... and he writes about this explicitly in some of the front matter from some of the collections. Is basically like he's trying to keep up with the smash hit and kind of the, I mean, honestly, the masterpiece that is Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. And I think to a large part he really succeeds. I think that he starts to bring the character not necessarily into the superhero world, but more into what might recognizably be thought of as sort of a super heroic character. You start to see much more of like a continuation of a canon that Alan Moore set up. So you start to see like real villains appear, and you start to see him interact again with John Constantine. And then this is also the run in which Swamp Thing gets a kid. Mm-hmm. So Swamp Thing has a kid with his wife, Abby Arcane. And you're getting coffee? Okay, she's going on a coffee break, which she really adorably wrote on back and board for me, drastically overestimating the formality of this podcast.
This is a collector's item now. You can get it for $15 at the front register.
Yeah,
One of a kind.
The coffee break board.
1 in 1,000 variant. You'll find it on the fucking speculator sites tomorrow.
Yeah. And so this run, I think like there's a lot of kind of artistic through lines from this with Alan Moore, but he... I think as kind of creative director and writer of this series, he does a lot less kind of like crazy experimentation than you might see in Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Like there's no Blue Planet issue of this.
Oh,
there's no like him traveling through the bowels of like a godlike techno entity, you know. But those things are kind of like referenced, so you start to see kind of like a historicizing of the character in Veitch's run that you don't see in Alan Moore's run, because I think Moore was really not interested in creating a canon in the way that you might understand a canon for like a Batman or a Superman or something.
Yeah.
And then you see that kind of carried on through like the Nancy Collins run or something, where he starts to have even more recurring villains like Sunderland or Abby's father, the like Arcane or whatever, Anton Arcane. It's in many ways like a sweeter version of the character. It's not naive, but it's it feels more genuine and less deconstructive than Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Although I don't think that Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is really trying to deconstruct anything.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a much less experimental character.
Mm-hmm.
If you're kind of approaching Veitch's Swamp Thing after Moore's Swamp Thing, just know that like it's not going to be as weird.
Mm-hmm.
But it will have kind of the same written tone. It will be like similarly dense.
Mm-hmm.
It's similarly like beautifully illustrated. It's also got, I mean, a lot of weird stuff, honestly, in its own right. Just like not really formally weird stuff. Like there's a couple issues in which Swamp Thing, as like a microscopic piece of plant life in Abby's pregnant body, visits his fetus in her womb.
Jeez.
And then exits her body, and Swamp Thing has become a biological woman. His sex has changed to female. And at first Abby in here kind of like freaked out, and then Abby touches him and he becomes pregnant.
Oops.
And he starts to like give birth almost immediately. And there's some like pretty strikingly explicit images of Swamp Thing giving birth, including Swamp Thing vagina, in one of these issues. And then he gives birth to himself, and he considers staying a baby for Abby to take care of and love.
Transsexual.
Okay,
Swamp
honestly,
Thing
this
pussy
is
crazy.
this is very, very relatable. I've never related more to Swamp Thing. I too want to birth myself and be a baby forever.
You should read Swamp Thing. It's fucking really
I should
good.
read Swamp Thing for so many reasons, but you keep giving me more.
It's so good.
But yeah, so there's a lot of like I don't honestly think that's the kind of thing that Alan Moore would have written. I think that's like not really his bag. There's like a lot of kind of humor in the Veitch run that you don't see in the Alan Moore run.
Yeah.
And that humor is like very much echoed later on in like Nancy Collins' run of Swamp Thing, where you get to see him as the kind of more humanly attached and warm character that he kind of needs to be in order to be compelling, because you can only follow a kind of cold Swamp Thing for so long, you know?
Yeah. You start getting like him threatening to cause a rose bush to bloom in a Nazi's asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Or like he helps in the Collins run after Veitch, which I think her run is kind of just as influenced by Veitch as it is by Moore. Like he helps some monkey wrenchers who are being chased away by like foremen constructing a toxic waste plant.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that where I don't know, he has friends in the Veitch and the Collins runs in a way that he like doesn't in the Alan Moore run. Like
Yeah.
he has people.
Yeah, because the Moore run kind of ends with him like just starting to really make connections and be like, oh, maybe I'm not this cold plant god thing. And then, as you said, like Veitch and Collins really run with that. Like, because Collins is just like a beautiful soap opera. Like you're just reading and you're just like, the character work here is fantastic, and the relationship work here is fantastic, and it's the best part of that run.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that run right now. But yeah, at the risk of rambling too much, I'm going to hand it over to Persephone to talk some history about the Swamp Thing issues that are coming out right now, which were previously unreleased issues from Veitch's run, for reasons that we're about to learn about.
So I'm going to cover just a few bases here. I really do think, if you want the full story, Stephen R. Bissett gives a really, really good essay at the back of this issue going into it, and then Gizmodo has an article called The Oral History of the Scrapped Swamp Thing Story 40 Years in the Making. There is a lot of overlap between those two essays, but there are some differences and there are some specifics, and the oral history one is from Veitch's point of view himself, who is still alive.
Oh, sorry, one more thing about
Oh yeah, please.
the Veitch Swamp Thing. So there's one of the artists on the Rick Veitch Swamp Thing is God, what's his name?
Are you talking about Alaka? Or are you talking about Zuli? Or
it's like he's Filipino. Oh my god, this is gonna drive me crazy. Fuck. It's not Redondo. Fuck. Hold on, guys. Stay with me. What I think is interesting about this character, though, is about this artist is I think he's part of this wave of like Filipino comics artists who were brought in by DC, who were like really, really talented fantasy and horror artists, in a way that kind of, to me, mimics the British invasion of comics writers and also artists. And I wish I could remember this guy's name, because it's making me really sad that I can't. I'm getting old, y'all.
Once you find it,
oh, it's Alfredo Alcala.
Oh, that's what. Yeah. I said Alaka, I guess. Alcala.
Yeah. I was like, Alaka sounds right, but I know that's wrong. But yeah, so Alfredo Alcala is this like wonderful artist who does incredible work on this run.
Yeah, he's a really prominent inker as well. For like, you've seen his inks if you've read Sandman. You've read his inks if you've read Hellblazer. Like, he's a really prominent inker. He's a really prominent penciler in his own right. If you read like that kind of early era Hellblazer, early era Vertigo, he's inescapable. Like, he is as much as much a centerpiece of early Vertigo as like Karen Berger is in a lot of ways. His influence is all over that era. But to quickly kind of talk about the history, I do recommend you check out that Gizmodo and this article and the Stephen Bissett essay, but I'm just going to cover some kind of base notes. Kind of in '88, when this was being published, the Batman movie by Tim Burton was just about to come out,
which has an ad on the back of this issue.
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, I did. We'll talk about that. With the quote original advertisement reproduction on the back. We'll definitely talk about that. When right before this book was about to come out, like, DC was going to do its first Batman movie, and it put a lot of money into this, and so that, among a couple other reasons we're going to get into a second, like, caused this increased scrutiny of DC. Some of this was that, like, graphic novels were starting to become a thing. This was like immediately post The Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen in 85 and 86. So just a few years after that, like, the graphic novel is starting to become a thing that people are, like, aware of. Like, there's a lot more money coming in than there previously was, but there's also a lot more attention. Similarly, like, the Reagan White House was doing its thing. Enemy of the pod, Ronald Reagan.
Bro, no, I love Ronald Reagan.
And
references to Ronald Reagan get me hot.
Some like it Reagan, as they say. That's so Reagan, if you will.
Oh my god. I will not.
But because of all of these things, DC decided to try to institute a classification board, which is what kind of led to the suggested for mature readers, but before that it was like closer to like a film PG-R kind of thing. A lot of writers, including Veitch, did not like this and protested against it because they thought, more as well, because they thought this would create like targets on their backs, and to a sense it did a little bit, where like now Republicans and like other kind of lobbyists like could track down the like suggested for mature readers titles and be like, oh, there's icky gay stuff in there, or there's like, oh, there's like
they're shooting up in there,
yeah. Whereas like there was a degree of like anonymity that, or there was a degree of like you could do more things because nobody was like paying attention to Swamp Thing in between like fucking Green Lantern and Batman. Or
although I did learn recently that my grandma, when she was a young woman, was a huge fan of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
That's
your
so
grandmother.
Nice.
Yeah,
wow.
I brought a Swamp Thing collection over because I was reading it during Thanksgiving last year, and I heard this like overjoyed exclamation of excitement, and I was like, "What?" Like, and she's like, "Oh my god! Like, this is Swamp Thing. Like, I used to read these as a girl." And I was like, "These ones?" She was like, "Yeah, like these Swamp Things." So yeah, my grandma, OG fan, reading them as they were coming out in pharmacy and soda fountain spinneracks.
What a legend.
I know, yeah. She's cool. She's a horror loving badass.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
No, thank you for that interlude. I needed to be reminded of that. That was beautiful. Sorry, I'm spacing for a second.
You're good. Don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, but because of this increased level of like scrutiny, DC's parent company, Warner, which was actually this was during the Time Warner merger as well, and so like there was so much more money and so much more scrutiny on kind of what was going on.
I love mergers.
We love mergers. Friend of the podcast, corporate mergers.
I love when companies do evil.
Ooh, monopolize me.
Oh my god, monopolize me, Daddy Reagan.
Oh dear.
So, like, to briefly quote Rick Veitch here, the problem was this. The mid-'80s were a cultural high watermark for Ronald Reagan, Jerry Falwell, and the moral majority. National media panics over the corrupting influence of role-playing games and rock and roll had become brief but hot scandals. For years, an internal debate had raged in comics over whether this small-time industry was especially at risk, and then it did. And so Veitch, when he was putting this through, he had the story where Swamp Thing was going to meet Jesus. He did everything by the book. Everyone kind of says that he did it by the book. This is not a contested fact.
Yeah, it seems like DC editorial was chill with it.
Yeah, Karen Berger wanted to do it. Karen Berger wanted to do it. There was a different group editor who wanted to do it, and then the president, whose name I'm forgetting, of DC, was also willing to do it. Initially, she signed off on it. They all signed off on the pitch. They signed off on the issues. They even signed off on the cover, they didn't sign off on the cover. My bad. We'll get to that. Sorry, I was trying to find a specific thing. Apologies for a second.
And I do think that gels with what I've heard from people about kind of the autonomy that Vertigo had apart from DC was like, what I'd heard was until this period of kind of like, for lack of a better word, satanic panic or whatnot, Berger had kind of successfully not gotten into the sights of like the big business execs at DC. She had kind of just been like publishing her stuff pretty like unsupervised, and like it had been doing well, so no one had really been like messing with Vertigo, and no one had really been asking questions. And then like 2 years before Berger left, someone like plopped a bunch of Vertigo horror titles on the desk of DC's CEO post Warner buyout.
Oh shit.
And was basically like, did you know we're like doing this? And the CEO had like kind of had a bit of a corporate freak out, and that kind of did lead to the downfall of original Vertigo to a certain degree. I mean, there are lots of aspects of it, but I was listening to I want to say it was a Karen Berger interview podcast, and she was talking about she was like kind of allowed to do her own thing for a long time, and her books were selling really well, and then like this real cultural shift happened. And all of a sudden it was like when people realized what they were putting out, DC had to kind of scramble to save their butts.
Absolutely. To briefly quote Veitch again, Veitch concedes that the rejection didn't entirely come out of left field. In 1988, the release of Martin Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ and the Iranian fatwa against Salman Rushdie had sparked renewed fears of religious controversy. And so, like, those things were both, like, very, very prominent in the minds of, like, DC CEOs and, like, also just, like, staff, like, higher-up staff at DC was that, like, the controversy over the portrayal of Jesus and Scorsese's The Last Temptation of Christ, and then also that, like, Salman Rushdie and his, like, Book of Satanic Verses was, like, they nearly assassinated the man several times.
Bro, they almost got his ass recently, too.
Yeah, like a couple years ago. How many years ago was it? They, like, stabbed him in the face.
Last year,
Just last year they stabbed him in the face.
Last year, 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, so things were pretty grim, and so DC kind of did a hard backpedal. Veitch really tried to make amendments to this. He was like, what can I change? Like, I'll change the cover. The cover, for context, was the initial cover was Swamp Thing as the cross that Jesus is nailed on,
which we did have some of in the store, and then we sold out.
Yeah, no. It's not this one.
Oh, it's not that one.
No,
oh,
it's
Oh yeah, because it's included in it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That,
this
yeah.
small thing as the cross itself. And there's if you go to Vince Locke's Instagram account, he inked and then colored that initial Veitch sketch, and it looks so good. My kingdom for DC to allow me to have that cover in my hands and on my wall. But yeah, like he offered to amend that. He offered to amend parts of the story. DC would not budge. Veitch left the company. The two writers who were going to take over, I can't tell if they were like going to be back-to-back writers or if they were going to work together. That much is kind of unclear to me. But the two writers that were going to follow Veitch up on Swamp Thing, which was going to be Jamie Delano, friend of the pod, and enemy of the pod, Neil Gaiman, were going to be on the title. They both left when Veitch did too, and so Swamp Thing got kind of in a lurch for a while until Nancy Collins picked it up. But yeah, that leads us to this Swamp Thing 1989. It's going to be 4 or 5 issues. I've seen different things, so I'm not entirely clear on that. Stephen R. Bissett talks about how editor, where's his name? Alex Gaylor, who has been around at Vertigo and with Swamp Thing for a very long time, has been like a consistent advocate for this book to be re-released. Without Alex Gaylor, we would not have had this book re-released without his like advocacy. Stephen Bissett says as much. And when you crack open this issue, kind of just the very bare bones background is like Swamp Thing is falling through time for reasons that are not really important right now, but he's like falling through time and he ends up in the time of Christ. And kind of the thing that immediately stands out while reading it is it's just, you could mistake it for a Christian comic. Like, it's pretty reverent of Christ. Like, it's not a sacrilegious book. It's not even a tenth as sacrilegious as like 1994's, I believe 1994's Preacher was, or other stuff that Vertigo would later do. It kind of shows that even there's like a lot more even nowadays there's like a lot more casual of a relationship with like Christianity and the divine in comics and in pop culture than there used to be. Though that said, in 2015, I think they were going to do some Mark Russell thing or whatever, and Fox News got a hold of it. And that put them off from re-releasing this back maybe like a decade ago. That said, here we are now with this book, and it's pretty reverent. It's kind of a beautiful little story about like Swamp Thing engaging with like Christ, and I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it, both because I don't want to spoil it and also because it's kind of difficult to talk about like what makes it so interesting in that regard. So I'm just not going to get into too much of the story details in specific, other than like it's sweet and it's nice, and it reads like Vertigo comics used to read. Definitely a lot more like literary minded, a lot more like historically minded, a lot more like poetically minded than a lot of even other mature readers' titles are to this day. Vince Locke is the inker on this book. The pencils were initially supposed to be done by Michael Zulli. You probably know him from the very last mainline arc of Sandman, The Wake. He did the pencils for it. He also did Puma Blues and some other stuff. Zulli worked on the pencils of this right before he died, and Vince Locke, in I believe the Gizmodo essay, in the Gizmodo essay, talks about how Michael Zulli talked about how Vince Locke talked about how emotional it was to be like inking over Michael Zulli's pencils, and that he was penciling or inking over a dead man's work. And inking over the work of a man who was like making this right before he died, and how emotional that was for him. Similarly, Trish Mulvihill talked about how like she was trying to replicate the color of early Vertigo. With the death of Tatiana Wood this last couple of months ago, very recently, Tatiana Wood died, and that Mulvihill was trying to like replicate like what her colors and would look like, and how it was like challenging to kind of work with a more limited color palette, but that it was also very rewarding. Kind of the last thing to really be said is like I don't know where the next 4 issues, or 3 or 4 issues of this are going to go from here.
Yeah, I've heard mostly 3.
I've heard mostly 3, but then I heard 5 today, so I'm very confused about that.
Who told you 5?
I think Bassett did.
I mean, I feel like Bassett would be the one to know.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be cool if it was 5. That sounds awesome.
I will double check that. It's possible that I could have misread what Bassett said in this background, but the point is that Veitch's work is going to be finished for the first time in 30 years, and it's going to be really cool to get to see this, and where it's going from here, who fucking knows, dude? It could go anywhere, and that's an exciting thing to feel.
Yeah, it's unbelievably awesome that this got published. Like, I'm so happy.
DC, put another Swamp Thing book out, especially if you can give it like on the Vertigo side of things, like, and like if y'all really want to, like if somebody has like a really strong vision for Swamp Thing, put that out there.
Hit my boy Walter up.
Yeah, hit Walter up. Walter's Swamp Thing pitch is amazing. Genuinely would be buying it every single week.
I wouldn't pay for that.
I would pirate it with my mind.
Yeah.
We work at a comic book store. Okay?
I would read it at readcomicsonline.com. I mean, forget you heard that. You don't know what that website is.
Oh my god.
Jedi mind trick. All the comics on that website are more expensive than they are here.
We should start our own scans website.
Oh my god.
Why haven't we done this?
The escapist
Well,
The Escanpist.
The Escanpist. There we go.
Fuck, we're gonna
We
get
have
fired.
so much access. We should be scanning.
Stop this. Our bosses, if you are listening to this, know that this is satirical and for the purposes of comedy and humor. Definitely not for business and or theft reasons. Anyway, what should we talk about next before we implicate ourselves further?
I can talk about the new Tillie Walden book real quick.
Yeah, please do. And then let's talk about Zatanna and new Ultimates after that.
Yeah, the new Tillie Walden book, I think it just dropped. I know she's touring it right now. It's called I think it's called Sylvia and Charity. Charity and Sylvia, Same-Sex Marriage in Early America. Charity and Sylvia is, it was originally published, oh my god, I need to, like, get this right, because I'm, like, reviewing it for the comics
it'll be out in June.
Okay, it'll be out in June, but I'll discuss it now, because I'm not going to spoil anything, but I want to rave about it.
Yeah, please do. I would love to hear you.
So, Charity Bryant and Sylvia Drake are two real... I use the word lesbian now, but at the time, that's like not a term that they would have used. They were 19th century American women living in the Northeast in Weybridge, Vermont, from 1807 to 1851. They're two real women, and they're an early and very glaring example of same-sex marriage in the U.S. At a time when I think kind of pop cultural wisdom has it that was not a thing that existed, which I think if you've read any kind of real critical queer history, you'll know that is not and was never the case with historical America, and that queerness has really only become more policed as it's become more defined over the last 150 so years. And so Sylvia Drake and Charity Bryant are the subject of Tillie Walden's new book, Charity and Sylvia, which is coming out, you said June?
June, yeah.
Is coming out in June. And it's... I say this with a great deal of seriousness. I do think it's one of the best works of lesbian historical fiction I've ever engaged with.
Really?
I put it up there with, like, Portrait of a Lady on Fire or something as, like, a really amazing work of kind of historical lesbian literature. The other example I would provide here is Audre Lorde's memoir, Zombie.
Damn.
Portrait of, I think it's Zombie, Portrait of My New Name, which is a later time period, obviously. It's a depiction of 20th century lesbianism in the U.S., and largely a depiction of black lesbianism in the U.S. in the 20th century. And so they're real people, and it's a long book. It's like 250 pages. It's a capital GN graphic novel. It's beautifully illustrated. It's drawn in these kind of like brown ink washes. And I think like I think that queer historical fiction and kind of queer writings about history in general are often really poorly done. I think there's a lot of pitfalls that you can fall into. I think like a great example of a queer historical fiction failure recently is Raging Clouds by Yudori. Which I wrote a pretty negative review about in the Comics Journal a while ago, which she did not post about on her Instagram. And I think that book felt really cowardly in a lot of ways, especially in the way that she took this weird out of like choosing not to depict these two women being like romantic together because the notion of like lesbian love was not present in the time period that she was writing about, which I think is just like such a kind of cowardly cop-out. And I think that it falls prey to this really fallacious notion that like just because we didn't have like the notion of like LGBT or pride, that these like women who loved each other and were sexually attracted to each other were not sleeping together.
Lesbianism didn't exist until Alison Bechdel invented it with Fun Home.
Yeah. And instead Tillie Walden does a really good job of really unflinchingly depicting not just a lesbian relationship under the strains and pressures of oppressive violence in the 19th century United States, but also under what I think is likely a far more realistically complex and nuanced set of disapproval but also approval and acceptance in their communities. I think that we greatly overestimate the nature of like sort of phobic queer acceptance and queer, like anti-queer violence in prior centuries. I think like what Tillie Walden is able to achieve in this novel is far more fascinating than some kind of oversimplistic story about two women surrounded by like only phobia or only hate.
Can I add on to this? Because
go for it.
I have not read any of the books you're referencing, sadly, but
you should read Zombie. You'd like Zombie.
Yeah, I know.
Zombie's
it's weird that
crazy.
I think I've read parts of it, but I've never like finished.
I might have it in my apartment. If I have it, I'll bring it to you next time you come in because it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'll totally read that. I mean, but no, I think there's an intentionality to that sort of like historical revisionism. Whereas, like, if we act as if before the modern gay rights movement everybody was just phobic and terrible, it kind of posits, like, homophobia and these different types of prejudice as, like, naturalized in this way that's kind of fake. And I think it's important for us to understand that these ideologies are also constructed and historically located, you know what I mean, as far as their inception and whatnot. And yeah, a lot of the current forms of bigotry that we deal with are recent inventions, and I think we need to keep that in mind when we talk about the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, even trans people, would be shocked to know, like, the term transgender is, like, a creation of the mid-20th century. Like, created by, like, social workers to categorize a far more complex and, like, nuanced set of identities and expressions.
And yet we all know that trans people have existed forever, so then the question becomes, without the conception of transgender, which
Without this taxonomy,
like without transgender as a cogent like sociological concept, is there any basis for transphobia as a real phenomenon in society? You know what I mean? It's like, certainly prejudices and, you know, personal prejudice at the very least still exists, but like one has to wonder, like, when a trans person came to be known in times before we had all the modern terminology and understandings of the thing, how was that dealt with? You know what I mean? I guess the assumption is just like, oh, they're a witch, leave them in the woods somewhere, or whatever the stereotype is for whatever cultural background you're trying to refer to. But like, at the end of the day, I think we don't know a lot of this history.
Yeah.
And our assumptions are very, very colored by recency bias.
And a lot of the records that we have, I think, would indicate what we're discussing too. Is like I just read a really interesting book about like literally just like the history of trans misogyny, and one of the chapters is about Black trans sex work in antebellum American cities, and like I think we have this kind of notion, which is very propagated both by people who are transphobic, but also people who kind of claim to be trans activists and allies, that phobia has kind of unequivocally accompanied trans sex work wherever it goes, and like of course that is the case, but it also is far more complex. Like antebellum American cities were actually like far less criminalizing and far more accepting of trans sex workers in cities. Occasionally they became celebrities, which is like crazy to think of now. And like there's certainly a lot of hate tied to these people, but at the same time, like in many ways they were allowed to operate much more freely than they are now. But anyway, back to Tillie Walden.
Actually, sorry, can I add one thing before? This is a more contemporary example, but like I came out in like 2014, right? So like right at the quote like transgender boom or whatever. But right before...
Oh, you're a boomer.
Technically, yes. But
so funny.
but for context, like I grew up in this like small, very conservative, like rural Oregon town, like a place that you would expect to be like extremely bigoted, and in some ways it absolutely was. But I remember being like a 17-year-old working at the cannery there, which is kind of the biggest like place to work in town. And I remember this was like right before I came out, like a month before I came out. But I was kind of starting to understand that I was a trans woman. I like was on a smoke break at the cannery, and there was a bunch of men surrounding this person who I don't actually 100% know this for sure, but I'm like, I think they were a trans woman, and she was like the head of the pack. Like all these guys were like surrounding her and like laughing with her, and like she was kind of like the central like social force in this like smoke break with a bunch of like 40, 50, 60-year-old fucking factory guys.
That's awesome.
The kind of people that you would expect to be like militantly transphobic. And I remember seeing that as like a 17-year-old and going like, oh, I can do that. Like that was a huge, like more than almost anything besides, we don't need to get that, but one of the biggest things in like me coming out was like seeing that and being like, oh, it's not just like me against the world. Like if I come out like that, like everybody's not going to be like militantly transphobic against me. And that's kind of how it was. If anything, I'm going to be real, I probably had more like transphobia from like interqueer stuff than I even did from just like random people.
Yeah. But I think this book from Tillie Walden does a really good job of like complicating these notions that we take for granted.
Yeah.
And these notions that I think allow queerness to be defined by this sort of this is such a ridiculous and nerdy comparison. But queerness, I think, is often defined in much the same way that New 52 Batman and Joker are defined.
Stop.
Where like we've just kind of decided that like queerness and phobic violence have gone hand in hand since the dawn of humanity. Which is like the same thing that we think of when we talk about race or misogyny, which is like we're so like steeped in this violent system that it's like almost impossible to like consider a past in which the system that we live in now was not active. And Tillie Walden does like a really wonderful job of depicting that in this book. There's like a scene in it where a new preacher comes to their town, and he's like full of like fervor and vim and vinegar, and it, like his introduction takes on a lot of menace, because you know, like, this new preacher comes to town, he's very passionate about Christ, and you're like, oh my god, like, where the fuck is this going?
Yeah.
In this small town, in this book about a lesbian couple cohabitating. And the twist is that they, like, realize that these two women are gay, and they, like, don't care. Because, like, the two women are, like, good Christians. And it's fascinating to see, like, a story where that's just the case. And it's like a sexy book too. It's not, I mean, it's not, they're not like tits out going at it or anything, like it's not erotic, but she's so willing to depict physical and emotional love between these two women, that it's like almost impossible not to read it and like also feel kind of erotically compelled. It's so beautiful. I'm gonna write like a really thorough review about it for the Comics Journal. But this was like definitely one of the best graphic novels I've read all year. It's really good. The art is incredible. And she manages to write about these white women in America without erasing sort of colonial and white supremacist violence in favor of this kind of like fairy tale white lesbian love story. Like it's very pervasive throughout the book. Which, I mean, granted, should be a low bar, but it's not a bar often cleared in these kind of historical queer fictions. When it comes out, like, I really encourage everyone who's listening to read it. Even if you're, like, a superhero person or whatever almost entirely, like, it's one of those books that I read and I was like, it's important that people see a take like this on queer love. It's one of the best things I've read since reading Stone Fruit and
I'm excited.
Canon. It is really good. Yeah, you guys should all read it.
All right, day one, I'm locked in now.
And if you haven't read any Tillie Walden at all, like I'm excited for this big book just because it is Tillie Walden.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's just everything she touches, just be it autobiographical or her Walking Dead miniseries.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's actually so good.
Yeah, like, you can find something in any genre that Tillie Walden has probably done. Like, her memoir, beautiful. Like, her science fiction book, beautiful. Her Walking Dead stuff, excellent. Like, she's got a really robust body of work that is pretty accessible. And a lot of, like, she has a short story collection, which is also great. She has a fucking magical realist road trip book, which is also excellent. She's not written anything that's anything less than excellent. Like,
yeah, and she's just a beautiful artist too. Like,
I
don't know. I was so stoked to review this. I like the minute I saw her posting about it, I jumped at the chance. I emailed my editor at TCJ and I was like, please, if you don't have someone already, let me review this. And thankfully she said yes. So
yay.
Anyway,
yeah.
Let's talk about some more floppies.
Yeah, we'll talk about some more floppies, but please, when you get that book, when you get that article published, please plug it, send it to me. I'm very excited to read it. If you don't know, Tate is an excellent writer, and I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. Like, she is genuinely a fantastic writer. Read her Substack. Read her articles on the Comics Journal. They're fucking great. Glazing over.
Can we talk about Zatanna and the Ultimates first?
Yeah.
That's all we have left.
I actually have to leave in 15 minutes.
Oh my god.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
we'll go.
so sorry.
Which
It's
one?
fine, it's
Is there
fine.
anyone that you would prefer to talk about?
Oh, they were both really good, and they have some things in common that I want to discuss. But I think I want to talk first about Zatanna.
Okay.
Because that's the one I read more recently.
Yeah.
But first of all, Jamal Campbell has been one of my favorite artists since Green Lantern Far Sector. And this book is no exception. The art is fucking stellar. And his writing is also very good. It's an interesting take on Zatanna, you know, which is a character I don't know terribly much about. So for me, this is kind of like almost an intro to the character. Like, this is for sure the first solo Zatanna book I've ever read, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting because he did do a solo Zatanna book, 6-issue, before this one. And this technically follows that up, but it's so accessibly written that, like, unlike Batwoman, which I still really loved, but Batwoman, it's like you get in there and you're just like, oh god, there's like, I'm trying to figure out where the fuck to even locate this. Jamal Campbell so expertly just like slots you into something that is following up on his other book, but like is so accessible. Like, I haven't read it and I felt perfectly at ease.
No, I am obsessed with how good of a single issue read this is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like not until the very last page where they do the whole like, you know, next week on blah 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 blah, and they're like, you know, kind of just like projecting like, oh, these are all the things that are gonna happen in this run or whatever. But until I got to that page, I forgot that this was part of an ongoing comics run, because it's such a good, just a day in the life of Zatanna. Here's what she's about. You know, here are her values and her ethics and, you know, some of the challenges she faces. And it's really like, I don't know, it's optimistic in this way that, like, I feel like superhero comics, like, lose that sometimes in recent years, you know what I mean? But, like, it really focuses on Zatanna as this person who really just, like, wants to help, wants to do good, wants to protect the world and help people, and, like, you know, it really, without making her seem like, you know, flat or one-dimensional or whatever, you know, but it really, like, I don't know, I usually don't care about, like, whether or not I can root for, like, a main character, because I'd like to think my taste in fiction has advanced to the point that that's not the most important thing. But reading this, I'm just like, I'm rooting for you, Zatanna. I want to see you succeed, you know?
Yeah.
And that's good. Like, that's what attracted me to the genre, like, decades ago as a child, you know? Is just being like, wow. And sometimes the good guys win, and, you know, and they win because they're good, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, she, like, to your point, like, she explicitly makes that her, like, thesis statement. She's like, you know, no person too small to save, no world, like, too dark to, like, come forward to and, like, meet and bring light somewhere in the middle, like and that she wants to help people first and foremost. She's like, yeah, I may be like the prime magus, whatever that means, but, like, first and foremost, I'm, like, going around and I'm helping people.
Yeah, they even had the very, like, kind of classic or cliched moment where she helps somebody and they're like, oh my god, thank you, Prime Magus, and she's like, it's just Zatanna, it's fine. You know, and this idea of someone in a position of ultimate power who does not hold themselves above other people. You know, like, that's, like, the heroic ideal. Like, I feel like that's, not to put too much on it, but that's kind of the core of the very idea of the superhero. You know, it's very much like Superman saves the cat type energy, you know what I mean?
And Jamal Campbell is doing so much, like, artistically here. Like, he's, like, pushing plague spirits through panel borders and like bending them. There's like,
oh, the paneling is so good throughout this issue.
Really incredible. There's like definitely like a manga influence, like this bit where like the cat gets thrown, or the rabbit, whatever the hell this thing is, gets like thrown off of the singing plague spear, and it just like is like a series of little balls rotating through the air.
Yep. And the design of the little cat rabbit is just so delightful. Like, what a unique and novel little creature. Like, it just very much looks like its own thing, you know, which is, you know, there's only so many little critters, you know, you can come up with, and Jamal Campbell found another one, so good on him.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, like, even this, like, plague spirit bit right here, when I was rereading it, I noticed there's, like, so much, like, personality and character acting in, like, what is kind of, like, honestly, the head of this thing just looks like a wad of gum.
Yeah.
Like, it's a wad of chewed gum and some tendrils, but it has more, like, character and emotive, like, presence on the page than, like, many artists doing, like, full characters with full faces to emote with.
No, absolutely.
Like, it's incredible. And then, like, what is this bit, with this fucking guy?
Yeah.
I don't know what his thing is. He seems like a new guy.
Yeah.
But I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's not a horror book, it's a fantasy book through and through, but like there's a couple of bits in here that are just like, that's like some crazy ass body horror, dude.
It is.
Yeah, that's very like Alvaro Martinez Bueno, Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah.
Also, it's done in this way that's very much like of the medium. Like, I struggle to imagine like a special effects department at like you know Disney or whatever the fuck recreating this moment where the man's face like appears out of the smashed up brain tendril situation. You know what I mean? But it's very much, and then the face is like 2-dimensional on top of a 3-dimensional body, which gives like this dissonance that you can only really get on like, you know, a pictorial medium, you know, and it very feels like, I don't know, I think that's important that comics be comics, because I feel like so much of what it's becoming is like comics as an idea factory for movies and television shows.
Yeah.
And it makes the comics worse, you know? Whereas something like this is just like, Jamal Campbell knows who he is as a comics creator, and he's not trying to be cinematic or, you know, live action-y with it. He's literally making superhero comic books. You know what I mean? And just like sticking true to that in this way that's
Funny books.
yeah, exactly.
Both Zatanna and Ultimates, but especially Zatanna, are very much that way. And like we've talked about that before, of just like these books that are not idea factories for Marvel to make a movie about in 20 years or whatever, but as like textual objects unto themselves that can only exist in their medium.
Like, reading this doesn't make me want to see a Zatanna movie. It makes me want to read more comic books.
Yeah, this is genuinely like one of the best first issues I've read in some time, and like easily the best of the next level stuff. I finished this the first time and subscribed immediately. I was like, put my little name down. I was like, I can't wait.
That was my reaction once I finished this. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I need a pull list. I swore I was done with monthly comics, but here I go again.
Yeah, she just like, Jamal Campbell just eats it up. Like every project he's done, both with like Far Sector and then the little brief turn he did on Superman with Joshua Williamson, where he made the Janelle Monáe Light Cowboy.
Yeah, I never saw the Janelle Monáe Light Cowboy.
I will find this for
and
you.
B,
It's
I
so
never
good.
read that Superman run, but I just saw like pictures from it just floating on social media, and ooh, that was a good looking Superman. I don't even like Superman as a character, but Jamal Campbell Superman, I want to know more about that guy.
Yeah, no, Jamal Campbell, like, it's like he works in a kind of style that is like not dissimilar to Adam Hughes in the sense that it's like kind of semi-realistic, a little bit more glossy, but like I think Adam Hughes is one of the better versions of this type of guy. Like a worse version of this type of guy would be like Frank Cho, who's like but I think Jamal Campbell, out of kind of all of them, has this just unbelievable like life and charm to his work, and like the kind of gloss that he has on his colors and on his figures is not like plasticky. It's like some other kind of secret third thing that I struggle to articulate. But
the way he uses it enhances the characters. You know what I mean? Like, it makes them more emotive and more like alive. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It makes it feel less, I don't know, like, the last word I would use to describe Jamal Campbell's art is like flat or lifeless. You know what I mean? Like, everything is so alive. All these scenes really feel like they're happening. You know what I mean? Like, Jamal Campbell doesn't draw snapshots. Like, he draws fully animated scenes in panel form.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like the mirror too of this like kind of zooming like out kind of here and then zooming in with the kind of
I didn't even notice that. That's so good.
I only noticed that now. It's like, it's crazy looking at this over with you and just being like, he's just doing all of it. Like he's just the one guy. I think he might even be doing the letters too. I need to double check.
Yeah.
But like, even if he's not doing the letters, he's doing everything else, and that's crazy to be at such a high caliber. Like, we've talked before about how like monthly comics like force you to make artistic compromises. Even if you're like a really good artist like Nick Dragata, for example, like if you're working, Absolute Batman, like you're going to have to eventually make some artistic compromises, and there's nothing about this that feels remotely compromised.
Yeah. But also, like, I like the trend in American comics of, like, taking these, like, proven artists and, like, giving them a shot at writing, you know?
Yeah.
In this way that I haven't seen too many historical examples of in, like, American comics. The only thing I can think of is, like, the Simmonsons on X-Men comics forever ago, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and even that's slightly different because it's like it's kind of a singular vision, but because they're married, but they are two different people. And, no, this idea of just like this is Jamal Campbell's book, and it's nice to see just like his vision in this way. Like it's like you said, it's not compromised.
Yeah. And like it's a thing that's a lot more common in like non-cape stuff. It is like having like a writer artist, but in cape stuff specifically, having a writer artist is so not common.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see. Do we want to talk about Ultimates really quickly? Because I do want to hear your thesis about how they're connected. Because there's some stuff I want to talk about with it, but I want to hear your thing first.
Okay, so yes, Ultimates, beautiful, beautiful book. Like as much as Zatanna, like, reaffirmed Jamal Campbell being one of my favorite artists, reading this issue of Ultimates is like, Stipan Morian, I need to know more about him. I need to read more of what he's done, you know, like, oof, it's giving so much. Like, it's giving shades of Sinkovich, it's giving shades of that nigga that did the, that person.
It's fine. You can say the word. It's your word to use. Like,
yeah. Remember that Wonder Woman book that was like retelling the mythos of the gods and
Historia?
Historia
With Jimenez and Jean Ha and a third person.
Yeah. I think Jimenez is the one I'm thinking of that this art reminds me of a little bit. But Yeah, such good art, and it's such good art for the subject matter. So the whole book is just like this cosmic battle between Asgardian deities of various sorts.
It's Marvel's Ragnarok. Like, it's like you can read this issue and not have read any other Ultimates chapter and be totally, because it's just the Ultimate Universe Ragnarok. That's just tightly what it is.
Yes, and I guess I shouldn't be getting too much into spoilers. But, like... Okay, so I think what these books have in common is the accessibility for a new or lapsed reader to jump in and get invested in the material. Mm-hmm. Like, the Zatanna book is a number one, obviously, but it's not a number one that feels like a pilot episode of a TV show or something. You know what I mean? It's not like... hey, this is the part where we set up all the characters and concepts and we'll get to the action next issue. It's more like, no, this is Zatanna, day in the life of Zatanna, you're up to speed, you know her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And this Ultimates issue is similar in that you just jump right in and it's like, it's just telling you a story. Like, this whole issue is a single story. Mm-hmm. And I know it fits into the greater story of the Ultimates and the Ultimate Universe and the Maker and all this. I read the blurb at the beginning, you know. But none of that matters. None of that matters. Like... not
a lick of it matters.
Yes. It's just a big, epic retelling of Ragnarok, which is, you know, the story that... I guess if you read Marvel Comics, you're certainly familiar with at a certain point. But it's just, like, done in such a unique way, you know? And it's just very much like... like, how do I explain what... Oh, well, first of all, I have to mention, the entire book is written in alliteration. Mm-hmm. And I love alliteration. Mm-hmm. And so that tickled me the whole way through. Mm-hmm. But also, it's just, like... it feels epic. It feels mythical. Like, if Zatanna is, like, a prototypical cape book that reminds me why I love superhero comics in the first place, the Ultimates 23 is a classical myth, you know, retold in a fresh way with art to match, because the art isn't typical superhero art.
No.
Not of this era, anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
closest contemporary would be, like, Kirby. Or even a little bit of... there's a little bit of Steranko in here at times. Like, like, it's kind of just, like... this is what happens... Marvel. this is what happens when you let an artist cook on your book. And if you haven't offered Stephen Morrian like $5 billion to do a Thor book, what are you doing?
Like, there's so many panels and pages on this book that I just stopped reading and had to just look at and just like appreciate as like an art piece.
Yeah.
Like this one image I'm looking at right now of Loki and Thor fighting, and it's honestly this whole page, like this whole battle is so expertly like illustrated, but there's just this one picture at the beginning of their fight, and it's just like you really get like the characters. You know what I mean? Like, if I didn't know anything about these characters and I looked at this picture, you know, based on the facial expressions, the physiques, the differences in lighting and shading, like everything is so laid out in this one image, and it's so like well thought out. You know what I mean? Like, like this is like the prime example of like an image in a comic book is not like an illustration in the storybook. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much storytelling happening. You know, and this is just one issue. One image I just picked, you know, out of several that I had to stop and say, oh my God.
Yeah, no, every single one is like that.
And then the differences in tone, you know, like there's a consistency from the art style, but like, you know, the scene with like the Fire Lord Suitor, you know, attacking, you know, surrounded by flames, versus the scene of like the dwarf riding a war bear. You know, like tonally and aesthetically so different, but clearly of the same world, but not of the same world. Because it's Asgard and there's multiple realms, and each of the realms feels like its own thing. You know what I mean? Like this, and the writing is really good too. I'm so obsessed with the art. I haven't, outside of the alliteration, like it's a really well told story without getting to spoilers. Like the framing of the story that's revealed at the end of the book is so like chef's kiss, you know. But like, just such a beautiful book, and like, oh, I feel like I started saying something and didn't finish it earlier. If Zatanna reminded me why I love superhero comics in the first place, the Ultimates reminded me why... God, I don't have the wording for this. It's not a Cape comic. It's not a Cape comic, but within the medium of Cape Comics, you can do so many amazing and beautiful things, drawing upon the history of like myth-making and mythology and oral storytelling traditions, and none of this is about guys in tights punching each other. No. But it's in the guys in tights punching each other story, and I'm sure if I pick up issue number 24, they're going to bring it all back together. But like, for just a glorious moment, this was just a beautiful book about Ragnarok. A beautiful retelling of Ragnarok. And like it, I don't know.
Yeah, we used to keep things a little bit like universes used to be like a little bit more separate, whereas like you would have like, okay, they're doing like Kirby Asgard shit over here, and then they're doing like, you know, more street level stuff over here. They're doing some kind of like supernatural Ghost Rider-y Blade stuff over here, and things were kind of allowed to be a little bit more distinct because they didn't all have to like tie into each other.
They didn't have to cohere into a universe.
They didn't have to be a part of the big crossover event of the summer every summer for decades and decades and decades.
Which is funny given that this is like the penultimate chapter of the tie-in Ultimate Universe Avengers book, which ties all of the plot threads of the Ultimate Universe together, and the penultimate issue is not related to that at all.
Exactly. This is like, what if big event crossover books could be good? Like, this is what that looks like.
Exactly. It gets to just be its own story. Like, Stephen Morrian, kind of as you pointed out, like, has such a versatile style that, like... And this is true of every single one of his books. Like, he can go, like, really hyper-detailed and hyper-serious to something so much more, like, vague and abstract. Even something really silly. There's a bunch of stuff in his, like, steampunk Santa Claus book, which I'll have to show you sometime, which is crazy. There's a panel of this girl, like, smoking a corncob pipe that is so funny. It's like, it's just her expression is so ridiculous. But it all feels cohesive, and, like, that works especially well for Thor. Like, he can do these massive, like, huge spectacle battle war scenes. You feel, like, blood and ash and, like, bone snapping. And that can be right next to, like, a wall of dwarves riding war bears. Yeah, and just like we talked about on this podcast a week ago, I think, like, if you were going to steal Jack Kirby's work, like, why and why would you do absolutely nothing with it?
Yeah.
Like Marvel. And this is one of the first books in a very long time at Marvel that has, like, not only but just been, like, rock solid art, but has also been, like, actually doing something. And honestly, to just tie it into the writing again for a second, this book is so in conversation with Jack Kirby's legacy. Because, like, other than, like, you know, the Marvel work that he did, particularly, like, the Asgard, the Thor cosmic stuff.
It's giving New Gods.
It's giving
for
New
sure.
Gods.
Yeah.
And they explicitly reference that, because at the very beginning of New Gods, there was a time when the old gods died. And this book is, like, directly responding to that. There was a time when the old gods lived, and then gives I'm not going to spoil it, but gives, like, an answer to why the old gods lived and what that actually means.
Yeah.
And it feels like a call and response across history to Jack Kirby. It really is like a love letter to Jack Kirby in every conceivable way, and I found myself oddly touched by it too. Yeah, this is just a really stunning example of what can happen if you just, like, let creators do their thing and don't worry about, like, marketing synergy or tie-in crossover bullshit. Like, when you just, like, let a good comic be a good comic and you put that out there, people are gonna love it. Like, we just raved about it for, like, 20 minutes.
Yes. And with that, I must say my goodbyes, because I got somewhere to be.
That's okay, because we also have to wrap it up, so...
Okay, well, I can stick around for like 2 more minutes to wrap up.
I think that's everything that we
that's
have.
it, yeah.
Pearl, sing us out.
There's a place called the Escapist, a place we know and love. If you don't shop there, I will send you above to heaven.
Heaven, because we love you.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
it'll be a heaven on
customers,
earth. Like, you know.
Ooh,
Isn't that a
baby.
slogan of, like, the Black Muslim Bakery? Anyway, whatever.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Escapist Comics is a place on Earth.
Wow.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Escapist Comics is a place on Earth.
I can't believe you just stole that, Stephanie, from a working blue-collar trans woman.
From your boss and wife.
I've only ever stolen everything I've ever gotten, so.
And that's a
I don't know
woman's
why
right.
this one gets you so.
A woman's
up
right
in
to
arms.
steal.
Okay, y'all, we love you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
I love you.